frame when it was identified as a threat.
How many days before the shooting took place did Secret Service actually do their advance work to secure the facility?
I think
that
my
the
manager
rally
was
was going to be held
busted. I don't think I can really put
5
anything in
days.
here.
in the 5 days prior, when the security advance team did their work, did they identify the rooftop as a potential threat?
Again, I'm pulling those reports and that information.
It's been 9
to
days,
conduct those
Madam
interviews.
Director. Did they notice a rooftop 150 yards away that was a potential threat? Yes or no?
I am certain that the rooftop was noticed. I am pulling the reports.
What was the security parameters around securing that rooftop?
There were no security
There was-
parameters around the rooftop.
There was overwatch provided for that rooftop.
Did Overwatch fail?
I am waiting to hear what the results of the investigation were so that I can identify where the failure was.
Who did you talk to that was on the ground that day that was responsible for Overwatch? What are their names?
I'm not going to provide their names in this setting.
You're not going to provide
the
anything.
people that were providing Overwatch that day?
I've talked to the people that conducted the advance on that day.
Yeah, every answer is
and it
just,
will work
we're
on shift.
waiting for the results.
And
We will
we have
have them in
counter
60
snipers
days.
on
But
that
it's really
day.
funny.
So you talked to the counter sniper team. You talked to the
Hey,
people
I've
who
read
were
in
providing
Chrysalis.
Overwatch that day.
Okay.
And you talked to the advance team, correct?
Yes, sir.
What did they tell you?
We are putting together a comprehensive report so that I can identify exactly where the gaps and the failures.
When the counter sniper team was on the roof and they identified that there was suspicious activity on the roof in question, what was the chain of command's orders around the person on said roof? Because I'm quite sure somebody saw under your organization,
The chain of command answers were, let him get 5 shots. Let him give him a shot. Give him a chance
the
here.
shooter on the roof. So what was the communication through the chain of command to deal with said person?
What I can tell you is that when the individual
Don't
was
do that.
identified
Don't
by
do
the
me like that, son.
counter-sniper, they took 1 shot and neutralized that individual.
But that was after the shooter already took a shot. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what you're saying now
They had to give him a
is
fair
that
try,
the
man. It was
Secret
their way out.
Service did not see the shooter on the roof until after the shooter took a shot?
I do not have all
Hold
of
up,
those
let him
details
cook.
at
That's
this time.
facts.
If you don't have those details after 9 days, Director, then what you're telling me is that you guys didn't see it. Is that correct?
I am telling you I don't have all the details of the sequence at this time.
Director, it's been 9 days. Either you have the information or you do not. Is that correct?
It's funny because I look at
We are
this
still in the
person,
process
and I don't know
of
if anyone
conducting
else thinks about this, but this
interviews
person's
and
named Director
investigation.
Cheadle, and all
Some
I
of my
can think
colleagues have
about
texted me over the
is the
last
person
couple
named
days,
Cheadle who was
bipartisan,
running for
about whether you
the
should lose your
head
job,
seat in the
and I've
Hunter
been
exam
quiet on that
to be like the
question
head examinee,
because I
who
wanted
was
to
also
see
named
what
Cheadle
you were
and was
gonna
also
do.
very indecisive.
In my opinion, you do need to be fired immediately. And it is because this is gross incompetence. And the fact that it's been 9 days, and these are simple questions to answer. I'm quite sure if I asked any one of my kids if they got in trouble and I told them to give me the details, I would get more answers from them than I'm getting from you right now. That's what's frustrating on a bipartisan basis, on a nonpartisan basis. This is a joke. And Director, you're in charge, and that's why you need to go. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Chair now recognize Mr. Goldman from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I love Hunter x Hunter. I want to read the
wanna
manga. I
follow
want to
up and
read
just
about the Dark
understand
Continent.
a little bit why there is so much information.
Wait, maybe I should
about
pull
this
up an
out in
image
the
of Cheadle
public,
and put it above. That'd be
including
cool.
some from you and your communications team, and yet you're here pursuant to a subpoena under oath in front of Congress, and you're unable or unwilling to answer some of those same questions. Can you just explain why you are answering so many fewer questions here than you have to the media?
I'm answering the questions that I'm able to answer based on the fact that there are multiple ongoing investigations.
But you have answered some of these questions previously.
To cycle
correct?
or not to cycle? I feel like I don't cycle.
To the
This guy's
public, to the
reach.
media.
Which questions?
Oh, sweet. I'm lit.
Well, did you have an interview with ABC News?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you explain the interaction between local law enforcement and the Secret Service, and that local law enforcement was responsible for securing the perimeter of the building where the shooter was?
I said that the Secret Service is responsible for designing and implementing and executing the security
Yeah, I want to read
plan,
about the Dark
and
Continent.
that we rely on
That seems like the most
assistance
goated arc,
of
and
our
it's
local
honestly
law
fucked they
enforcement
didn't finish it.
partners to assist us with that plan.
Let me ask you something. Were you given any instructions?
That's a broken card. Don't do that.
About what you can and cannot answer here today?
My ability to answer questions is solely reflective of the fact that there are multiple ongoing investigations, and I want to make sure that I provide accurate information that doesn't conflict with any of those investigations that are going on.
So is it your view that you can't talk about anything that happened that day until those investigations are completed?
My view is that I want to make sure that this committee and the American public gets correct and actual information.
And so is it your view that that can only happen after the completion of the investigation?
It is my view that when the investigations are complete, that we will be able to share that information.
And how about before that?
If I have factual information that I can share before that, I absolutely will.
I'm guessing you have factual information as to when the suspicious photograph of the suspicious person was relayed to the Secret Service. There's a timestamp on that text message or whatever it was.
Okay, this is
correct?
goated.
Sir, I'm sure you can understand that when you're dealing with text messages, emails, and other communications, the timelines don't always match up.
Not really if they're time-stamped, but let me move on. Because you have acknowledged that this was a major security failure. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge
I'll have to check out the
that it was
Shonen
a
Jump
major
service. I actually
security
used to have the
failure
physical Shonen Jump
not
service
to
when they had it,
secure
because
the rooftop
back in the day when I
of the
played
building
competitive
that the
Yu-Gi-Oh,
shooter shot
the
from?
Shonen Jump cards that would come out with the magazines
believe
were
at this
so
time
impactful
that
if
the
you didn't
rooftop
have that
was
access,
provided
you were at a strict
Overwatch.
disadvantage.
I acknowledge that we are unaware at this time how the individual was able to access the roof.
Overwatch meaning from other counter, sniper, other higher points?
Correct.
And so was it a failure then that when that shooter was on the rooftop that Overwatch did not identify him before he fired his shots?
Yes.
I don't have the timeline of how the individual accessed the roof, where they accessed the roof, or how long they were on the roof.
Let me ask a couple things quickly. You have testified here about all the resources that the Secret Service needed to deploy to protect the NATO summit and all of the leaders here.
No,
Is that
don't do me
right?
like this.
Yes.
Did you have to rely more on local law enforcement because of the NATO summit for this event?
The Secret Service routinely works with local law enforcement at every event. It doesn't matter whether it is a NATO summit, NSSE, the RNC in
No, but that's not my
Milwaukee.
question. Obviously, there's a natural give and take as to, I'm sure, how many agents you deploy and how much you rely on local law enforcement. Did you have to rely more on local law enforcement because there were fewer Secret Service assets available because of the NATO summit?
No.
I hope we get answers before the completion. I don't like the fact that the media has received far more answers than Congress has. If this is a function of getting your ducks in a row, I assume you have access to a lot of these reports and a lot of this information, and you should have come prepared here today. And I
Pairs
would just
in Paradise
want to flag,
drops
Mr.
tomorrow.
Chairman,
Okay, I'll check it
before,
out.
Before I yield back, that I want to just point out one thing that my colleague from Texas was talking about. When he said he recreated the shooting twice with an AR-15, and he had a 94% success rate, 15 out of 16 shots. I don't know why that doesn't.
And that guy's like
convince him that we
65.
should get rid of AR-15s, but clearly we need to do something about the prevalence of AR-15s and weapons of war on our streets. And I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Perry from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Chairman. Director, I guess 60 days is the time of the investigation. Is that the information that you've put out, or where did that come from? 60 days, or is that just
Perils in
information
Paradise sounds
the
lit.
members are
Hopefully I get this job soon so I can buy like a bunch of
I
packs.
stated that
Do like a
earlier
pack
today.
opening.
I've asked
Okay,
my
60
team-
days. So are you receiving regular updates? You're in charge of the Secret Service. This is about your organization, what happened 9 days ago. Are you receiving regular updates from the FBI on their investigation?
Yes, I am.
So you know some things are true, some things are probably not true. We want to talk to you about the
23,
things that we're
holy
hearing
shit.
about and find out if they're true. You've been in contact with the FBI, then you're getting updates on a daily basis, right?
Yes.
Based on what you said. Okay, so, and are you confident that the person in question, Mr. Crooks, was the only person firing that day against the president or the crowd? Is he the only one? I'm not asking you yet if he acted alone, but is he the only one, or can you say that with certainty to the American people?
That is the information I have at this time, yes.
Okay, does it appear he acted alone?
I know what the purpose of that was.
That's the information we have at this time.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the fact that he
Oh,
was
that guy's
noticed as
lifelink. That's
a
bullshit.
person of interest, of concern, suspicion, as you say. Your PI team, how do they stay in... There's a sea
Ripping
of
Demon
people.
Inferior? Ripping Demon Inferior
How does
here?
the PI team
Rip it for the
get to
boys?
that individual
Oh my
that's in
gosh, I'm so
question in the
absurd.
sea of
I'm
people?
vile.
How's that individual tracked?
Our protective intelligence teams that work at our sites are paired up with a local police counterpart, and so they work in conjunction together.
So they just follow them around, or let me ask you this. Looking at the site, you have multiple perimeters, right? You have the secure perimeter, the inside perimeter, you have multiple perimeters. Was the AGR so-called building the highest location affecting the site of the rally? Was it the highest location?
I believe the highest location at the site was where our counter snipers were
What about the water tower
positioned.
adjacent? What about how high is the water tower?
I don't have the height on the water tower.
Okay, seems like water towers are pretty high.
What
at
do
least
you
in the
have?
photo. It looks like it might be. There might actually be a building right behind the AGR building that is even higher than the building that Crooks fired from. You're familiar with cover, concealment, and defilade, right? You're familiar with those terms?
Yes.
So how would your sniper team or your PI team track the individual and give vectors to Secret Service on the PI team to get to that individual to question him? And how would you cover the defilade, the cover and concealment of low areas that you can't see from where your sniper team immediately adjacent to the president were sighted? How would you do that if you're not up on the high ground?
So when our counter sniper teams go out and conduct an advance, they have a methodology and provide a grid system that our response teams are able to vector in if they see something that is troubling.
So when Mr. Jordan asked about the assets that were requested, let me just ask you about assets requested. Were aerial assets requested for this event from either the Secret Service or state police or anybody else, drone, manned, otherwise? Aerial assets, were they requested?
I can't speak to what the local
Just asking
police
if they were
may
requested.
have conversations with the local police, but I
That's
can tell
irritating.
you that the assets that were requested from the Secret Service for the site that day were all granted.
But were aerial assets requested? I didn't ask if you used them or what you used. Were they requested?
Overwatch was requested and
Aerial.
that was provided.
Is that aerial? Because Overwatch could mean on the water
thank you
tower
for the
or not
follow.
on the water tower. Can you be specific, ma'am? I'm running out of daylight here.
I understand. If you're asking me about specifics, whether or not there was...
Is it not clear what I'm asking you? Were aerial assets requested by the president, by Secret Service, by anybody? Were they requested?
The Secret Service, we felt that we had a good plan in place.
Okay, fair enough. How about K-9 assets with bomb sniffing or explosive sniffing capabilities? Requested. I didn't say they were present. Were they requested?
Those requests were fulfilled.
They were requested and fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
So was the Crooks vehicle inside any of your perimeters?
No, it was not.
It was not. How did you, so it was not within so what, was there a device located on Mr. Crook's body to detonate the vehicle?
That is the information that I have.
So what would be the point of detonating the vehicle if it was not inside the perimeter?
I have no idea what Mr. Crook's motivation was.
Ma'am, the fact that you haven't, I'll close with this, Mr. Chairman, haven't even visited the site, I understand there are other things going on, but the culture of your organization, the culture that doesn't, do you know how tall the president is? How tall is the president? President Trump, how tall is he?
I don't, he's over 6 feet tall. I don't have
Okay,
the
so
exact-
do you assign agents based on their ability to cover physically and carry? And
Block
carry
with
if
your legendary,
necessary?
please.
The
I need
President
this.
of the
I need
United
this more than you.
States, when you assign them to this mission, is that a parameter that is considered?
I assign agents to work our protectees that are capable and have been trained by the Secret Service.
I understand they're trained, but if you're not tall
If you're
enough,
5'6"
it
and
has
you're a
nothing to
female
do
that's
with-
120
we're not
pounds, you're
mad
not
at
good
you,
at
but if
protecting the
somebody's 7 feet
6'3"
tall and you're 5
president.
feet tall, there's going to be a delta there that is problematic in protecting the protectee. And I'm asking, is that a consideration when you when these agents, not saying you, but when they're assigned to the protectee?
When you're hiring 5-foot
The
tall
agents that are
females to guard
assigned
the
to our
president, no.
protectees
The answer is
are
no.
perfectly capable.
Okay, ma'am. So
of
the
providing
culture is what I'm
protection.
concerned about, because the primary objective here seems to be something other than securing the site, securing the principal, and securing the people at the site. And that's the concern based on the answers that you've given
That was
today
broken.
so far.
Holy
without
shit, that was
abuse.
broken. This guy just
Chair
got
now
the most
recognizes
goated
Mr.
top deck
Moskowitz
possible.
from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this hearing. I want to thank the subpoena that you sent. I want to thank Ranking Member Raskin and your work, the letter you sent to the committee. And I also support the creation of a commission to get to the bottom of what happened. Director, I just want to give you an honest assessment of how this is going for you today. Did you happen to catch the hearing many months ago in education where there were a bunch of university presidents and Elise Stefanik asked a very easy question and couldn't get an answer? Did you see that hearing?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay, well, let me tell you, it didn't go well, and the short end of that story was those university professors all resigned. They're gone. That's how this is going for you. This is where this is headed, okay? This is, I don't know who prepared you for this.
No, I needed something
I don't
there.
know how many times you've testified in front of Congress. But a president was almost assassinated live on television, not just for Americans, but
Well
for
played.
the world
There's nothing I
to
could do.
see. And this being your first opportunity, I understand there's an ongoing investigation. I understand there's things that you can not talk about. But the idea that we're getting less than you did on television is something that Democrats, Independents, and Republicans are going to find unacceptable. My high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
It's crazy
was on the
that
list
I got a
of mass
loss with a 3
shootings
Chris
that
stack.
Representative
That's absurd.
Raskin held up. That
I mean, he
very
did
day,
have an
the
ARNA,
school
which is pretty
resource
broken.
officer, a police officer, did not run into the building. He hid in the stairwell while the shooter was in the building. He stayed outside, never helped. Okay. He also directed other officers who showed up on the scene not to go into the building. When it was determined that the failures in response and training, and that the sheriff fired nobody in his agency, Governor DeSantis then removed that sheriff. I supported the removal. So here's my question. You said there's going to be accountability. I understand you don't want to give us names. When you say that, are you telling the committee that once it's concluded, you're prepared to fire the people on the ground who
But not
made
you.
poor decisions?
Of course not the person who's in charge. We're not going to fire
I'm
that
prepared
person.
to take the actions
No,
necessary.
that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Accountability. The failure was human. That doesn't mean they're bad people. It means they failed that day, and a former president was almost assassinated. Okay? Are you prepared to fire the human failure on the ground? Yes or no? When you have the names of where those failures were, they're people. It's not like a piece of technology failed. It was people who failed that day. Are you prepared to fire them?
I don't have an answer as to whether it
Well,
was
then how can there be
people-
accountability if you're not prepared to fire someone? And the reason why your name is going to be the person who's held accountable, the reason why members in this committee are calling for resignation, and I join in that, or for the president to fire you, is because you're saying there's going to be accountability, but you can't commit that people are going to get fired. Let me ask this question a different way.
4
If
weeks
Trump had been
suspension, full
assassinated
pay.
that day, if the gunman had succeeded, okay, would you have come and tendered your resignation?
I would still be sitting here because I would want to ensure the integrity of the investigation.
Totally
and move
understand.
forward.
That's a fair answer that you would have set up that process. But would you have had the honor to come in front of the committee and say, a former president was assassinated on my watch, there should be new leadership?
I think that I have admitted that there was
No, that's what I'm asking.
grave
Would you have
failure
tendered your resignation if he had been killed?
that
No,
occurred on my watch.
obviously not.
And I am accountable for that.
Okay, but would you have tendered your resignation if he had been killed?
I think someone needs to
I think
define the
that I've
terms
admitted
accountable.
That I've taken accountability and will take
She
responsibility.
just needs to post a YouTube apology and we'll all forget about
Well,
it. Yeah, she needs to do
Let me
a
I want to follow up on
a
Representative
press
Connolly's
release with the
question.
Liver King, and they
She
can
asked
do
about
like a joint
guns,
apology.
And you were not willing to commit that.
I mean, it
makes your
worked out
job
for the
harder.
Liver King,
This
right?
is not about the Second Amendment. If there were over 400 million guns on the streets, if all of those guns were machine guns,
When
would
we
that
think
make
about
your
it,
job harder?
if the
protect
Secret Service
people?
director was following the
Yeah,
10
I think
ancestral
weapons
tenets
are out there.
that the
all of
Liver
those
King
guns were
addressed, we
rocket-propelled
wouldn't be in this
grenades,
situation.
Would that make your job harder?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Perfect. This is not a trick question. Thank you. Okay. I won't ask the other 15 things I was going to do. I was going to do drone strikes, but it's okay. So
I like that
that's
guy.
all we were asking. It creates a challenging environment. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment or people's rights, but it does make your job harder. So credit to Representative Connolly for asking that question. One last thing, Mr. Chairman, and I'll conclude. You know, there was a question asked, is an Iranian assassin more capable than a 20-year-old? And I have been tough on Iran. I probably have more resolutions on Iran than almost anyone in Congress. But I can tell you it isn't Iranians walking into schools and grocery stores and movie theaters and churches.
This is
It
true.
is 20-year-olds, right? And some of them are mentally unstable. And they have access to guns. And they're domestic terrorists. Someone talked about Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray has talked about domestic terrorism. And so, yes, we collectively come
Somebody
together
woohooing when she
on
directly answers
foreign
the first
threats.
question shows how
And
miserable
I am
miserable
not
this is. Yeah.
at all debasing the fact that there are foreign threats here and abroad. But there are domestic threats. And we have to get to the bottom of how we stop domestic terrorism. Because it was a 20-year-old who walked into my high school and killed 17 people. He was plenty capable. And he
Wait, this
wasn't
is
Iranian. Thank you.
insane.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Timmons from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cheadle, we've asked you a lot of questions and haven't really got a lot of straight answers. I have intentionally created a line of questioning that I think that you can answer. So the first question is, do you agree that the allocation of Secret Service resources should correspond with the risk profile of any given event? A higher degree of risk at one
I'm breaking
event
the game
should
here.
get
This is
more
so insane.
resources. Is that fair?
That is
Holy
fair.
shit. I've never seen more
And when
crystalless
two
triggers at
events
once. This is
occur
goated.
at the same time in the
Yeah.
same geographic vicinity, that the risk profile of each event should be taken into account, and whichever event is greater risk should receive
That was cool.
greater resources.
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the Trump event. So this was publicly announced July 3rd, Butler, Pennsylvania.
I would've blocked
the
with my
venue
chump.
is an
What the
outdoor
heck?
fairground, open air, no existing security.
I'm pretty sure if I played Temper One of
the
Ooze
crowd
Wag, it's
size
just lethal.
was expected to be tens of thousands. It ended up being over 20,000. There were general and specific threats from foreign adversaries. As the chairman of intelligence remarked, Iran has said they want revenge, as well as when President Trump
Well,
was
that's not cool,
in
sir. Calm
office,
down.
he made a lot of people mad, terrorists to be included all over the world. And, you know, President Trump is the former president and the future president. So I would say that that is a
I like that
fairly
guy.
high-risk event. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, let's conversely, the First Lady had an event at a casino in Pittsburgh, just a few dozen miles away. It was a dinner for the Italian Sons and Daughters of America. It was publicly announced on July 10th. What's interesting is that the casino is actually extremely secure. They already have magnetometers existing prior to this event even being announced. It was in a ballroom. And the size of the crowd, a mere 400. There were no specific threats. There may have been general threats. And the asset is the First Lady. Those seem like there's a huge disparity relative to risk. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. For
Multiple
actually answering your
whistleblowers
question.
and various media outlets have reported that the Pittsburgh field office of the Secret Service allocated 12 additional post standers to the First Lady's event and 3 additional post standers to the Trump rally. Is that correct?
There were no assets that were diverted from the First
So no.
Lady's
This is a very
visit.
simple question. I'm not asking if anyone was diverted. Did the First Lady's event that was relatively secure, especially compared to Trump's rally, get 12 assets? And did the First Lady's event get 12 assets and Trump's get 3 from the Pittsburgh field office? That's a yes or no question. If you don't know, don't answer it. I mean, if you don't know, don't answer
The number
it.
of personnel that were allocated to both of those events were comparable to the risk at both of those events.
Wow. Really? So you think that the Pittsburgh casino, 400-person in a ballroom with ingress, egress through probably a very well-guarded parking garage was 4 times more dangerous than a 20,000-person rally in an open field with the former president and future president? You think that that's 4 times more dangerous, the casino event?
I didn't say that at all.
Well, they got 4 times the resources from the Pittsburgh field office, who was likely in charge of the final walkthrough for both events. I mean, we've continually highlighted the failures of the Secret Service at the Trump rally. And, you know, you have the former and future president getting shot. You have multiple injuries, 1 fatality. And I would have to think that if we had 9 more post standards, 9 more individuals that have the training and the integration into the Secret Service defense of Trump at that rally, that I have a feeling that Crooks would have had somebody come say hello to him before he fired a bunch of shots. Do you think that's possibly true?
There were significantly more assets and resources available at the former president's event than there were at the First
Who
Lady's
made the
event.
decision to deploy 12 post standards to
Triple Chrysalis control.
the casino where the First Lady was having a 400-person dinner? And only
Dude, this guy's
3
got the ultimate
people
trap card.
from the
He has the
Pittsburgh
border
field
hopper
office
trap card,
to
bro.
the 20,000 person plus Trump rally. Who made that decision?
There were additional Secret Service resources available at the former President Trump's event.
Who made the
day.
decision to deploy 12 to the First Lady's event and 3 to the Trump event?
The allocation of resources is decided based on the availability of personnel and their location and where they are, but there were sufficient resources
So if there's
What did you
like,
say?
were given.
so if
Did
there's
you
like
just say
2
there were
resources
sufficient
available
resources?
to like
President
protect the most
Trump got
powerful
shot.
person in the
Someone
world.
got killed. There were not sufficient resources, clearly.
There was
and
a gap.
It doesn't take 27 years of experience to know that. And whoever made that decision, it probably wasn't you, needs to be fired. And then you need to resign because this is absolutely unacceptable. And you've lost the trust of the American people. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
That guy was cool. He was based.
Talib from Michigan.
Shit, don't add Chrysalis. You don't need to do that.
Director, for being here. You know, when we hear the headline, a 20-year-old young man with access to an assault weapon
This isn't fair.
commits an act of mass violence. I mean, we've heard this before, over and over again. But the unfortunate thing is that my residents don't get a committee hearing. We have not had one committee hearing about the over 260 mass shootings that we've had, killing hundreds of people, injuring hundreds, changing their lives forever.
Lady, this isn't about you taking away our
Don't get me
guns.
wrong, to
Do
many
that
of
in a
my
separate
colleagues,
hearing.
I mean, I watched, and even the pool of blood, the screams, it was horrific. But it made me think about the images I saw after mass shootings at schools, grocery stores. I mean, I think of Buffalo, New York at a supermarket where a racist gunman killed 10 shoppers with an AR. In El Paso, AK-47 style assault rifle killed 22.
Dude, this is
In
not the
Florida,
time to be
Parkland,
asking
Florida,
this
17
question. What the
students.
fuck are you doing?
And teachers murdered.
We
Again,
already
with
all
an
know
AR.
this. This is stuff. This hearing is supposed to be
In
about
Pittsburgh,
the person who
at a
was
place
came
of
here to
faith,
speak. You're
treated like
disrespecting
synagogue,
everyone by
11
asking this.
Murdered. And don't get me about Newton, Connecticut,
Oh my God,
which
Newton,
still breaks my
Connecticut,
heart.
man.
26 murdered,
Ha.
including 20 elementary school
I wasn't
children.
anywhere near there.
year in
I was in the
Michigan, we've
safety and
had,
protection of
Mr.
my
Chair,
safe house,
2
but
mass
you know,
shootings.
it really hurts me. We just take
21
away the
shot
ARs,
in Detroit.
and everything will be okay.
One of the most horrific shootings we've seen. 2 killed.
We need to
at a
transform the
splash
country
pad
to a
in
bloodbath
Rochester
of,
Hills.
you know, like the UK, where people are just
Michigan.
knifing each other every day.
8
It's
shot
safer.
there.
It's safer, guys. Don't
Again,
worry.
an assault weapon used. But the difference here is the former president gets a hearing in his attempt to assassinate, but our residents don't get a hearing.
The hearing isn't about the former
About
president. It's about interrogating
mass
this person
shootings,
who
about gun
was
violence
negligible in their
in our
job
country.
and is not taking responsibility.
You know, Mr. Chair, I ask this wholeheartedly.
Can we just
they
like
don't have
remove this
civil
person
service
from the
to protect
stands?
They don't. I don't have these mass agencies protecting our kids in the schools or the supermarket, movie theaters, or going to a block party in Detroit. I don't have that. We don't have that. But I can't believe we're just going to focus on that and not the fact that
This is
we're
what the
hearing
point
yet
of this
again
hearing
in the
is.
headlines.
Was this
A
person
20-year-old
paid
young
to
man
be
having
here
access to
by
an assault
the
weapon, a weapon of
director?
war.
Like,
Many
this
of my
person's the
veterans
director's
say they
best
have to be
friend, just
trained
taking
to
all the
use.
attention away from them. Screw
But
this
he
person.
can get it. Wasn't safely stored by the parent, grabbing that gun. And innocent lives were lost. Director, I know you got asked about this. And I think it's important, though, you know, for us to hear this. But how difficult is your job when there's such easy access to assault weapons?
Dude, the director already answered that. Why are you asking? That's the one question the director answered. Why are you asking that question?
Service agent and officer is incredibly difficult.
Dude, this
I think the
person's such a
environment we deal
terrible. This
with
person might be
every
worse
day,
at their job than the director.
Dynamics
What
of
the
the threat
fuck?
environment is incredibly difficult. These are brave men and women who put their lives on the line. And a day like we had on July 13th is a day that no one in my agency ever wants to have as their responsibility. It is an incredibly difficult job.
Yeah, I immediately thought of the children in the audience. I mean,
Oh my
when you
gosh,
think
the
about going to a rally
children.
with your family,
The children.
again, their lives are forever changed. The incident are never isolated. I really
Well,
believe
duh.
these incidents are never isolated. And I know Detroit Free Press had reported that the 20-year-old Pennsylvania shooter looked up the 2021 Oxford High School shooting in Michigan. Can you comment on what information this shooter was looking up in regarding the tragedy of Oxford High School?
Well,
where it took
no,
4 of
but-
our high school youth there.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to. The FBI has those details.
So you can't even tell us, I mean, was he looking at the type of weapon?
That was the worst possible question you could have
How many-
asked.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have those details.
Do you have,
to
I
share.
mean, did they share that with you, though?
I don't have the full content of what his searches were. I think that they are still in the process of examining.
They're still
all
in the
his
process,
devices.
guys. Don't worry. We'll hear back
Okay.
after the responsibility has been
again,
waved away
you know,
from me. We will hear back.
Again, the
Trust.
impact, I want to be really serious about this. The impact on our families is more than just this political rally, Mr. Chair. We have to
Okay.
talk about this.
Your 5
Even
minutes
if
is
we're
up.
in disagreement, let's talk about it, because I've seen statistics that show that we could be saving lives now if we ban these weapons of war from our from being able to buy it at the local store down the street. I mean, we just can't continue to allow this to happen.
I feel like
And
people like
unfortunately,
this
my
have never
colleague-
even
my
like
residents
went
are
through the
not former
process to
presidents of the
purchase a
United
gun
States. They
and
don't get a
understand
hearing.
that there
They don't
are
get Secret
restrictions in
Service any
place.
of that.
You have
And
to go
even
through a
among
background
those that are
check.
expressing that
You're
failed in
not
the
allowed to
system,
carry
they just
openly
deserve
in
better.
certain
They
parts of the
truly do.
world where you
Thank you, and I
shouldn't be
yield.
able to.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Burchett from Tennessee.
Dude, fuck that
Thank you,
person.
Mr. Chairman. Ms. Cheadle, the shooter was set up on the roof of the AGR International building, as we know. Was the roof identified as a potential vulnerability days
Wow, the
before
one time I
rally?
actually get a writhing chrysalis, I
My
go against
knowledge, yes,
2
it
other
was.
people in a row who
Were
also have
agents
multiple
or officers
chrysalises.
inside the building?
That's gay.
If so, what floor were they on?
We had local police officers inside the building.
The roof looks like it's a tin roof. How did no one inside that building hear someone moving on top of a metal roof?
Because
I
they were
don't have the
paid to
details
overlook
of all of
that.
the interviews that have been conducted yet.
When will you have those?
I have
60
been
days.
asking, and I want to have that information as soon as you do as
Okay,
well.
why did Secret Service fail to block the line of sight from that roof?
I think that
Because
the
we
Secret
wanted to
Service
give the
put
sh- the
together
shooter a
plan
chance
where
to
they
cook.
were
You know what they
counting that
say,
roof in
let
as
'em
part of
cook.
their Overwatch, and that was the plan that they had put in place
That's
that
dope.
day.
I love that for you,
If you
man.
weren't going to put a security personnel on the roof,
Wait a
why not
minute.
at least use
Something
drone
ain't right.
technology or aerial surveillance to monitor the rally?
There are a number of times that we do use drone technology. I'm not speaking specifically to this event and what was utilized or not. There are
Damn, I just
times
realized I
when
could have been
drone
playing cool
technology
sound
is
effects over
available
that
and
dumb
helpful
lady
at
who just
events,
talked a
and
second
there are
ago.
times
That
when
would
it
have
is
been really
not
based.
appropriate.
Do y'all use Signal? Do you use personally use Signal to communicate with any official from the White House? Signal on your phone.
Oh, on occasion, I'm sure that there are people that use Signal, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you use it to speak with the White House?
Okay.
Use Signal.
No, I do not.
Okay. When was Thomas Crooks first identified as
Mr.
a
Mackey.
person of interest? Let me help you at 5:10. He was spotted with a rangefinder at 5:51. And when did
Fuck this
Secret
person.
Service notice him?
We just got
Again, I
cooked.
don't have those specific timelines, but it was
Damn,
a
I got
relatively
cooked harder
short
than
period of time.
Let me help you. 5:52.
The director.
Ms. Cheadle, Why was President Trump allowed on stage 10 minutes after the Secret Service spotted a suspicious individual?
Dude, because the
That seems to
shooter
me to be
needed
the
a
worst
chance to
thing of all.
cook. We've already
All the
answered this.
breakdown and all
Let
this
him cook.
communication, all the BS you've been feeding us here today or not feeding us, that seems to be the question.
So I've said,
The
as I've
question is
stated
to cook
before,
or
there are
not to
a number
cook,
of
you know?
events where suspicious people may be identified. That doesn't
There
necessarily.
comes
Ma'am,
a
I
point in
submit
every
to you,
person's
you got
life
a guy who's going to be
where
the
you're
next
either
president of the
person
United
cooking or
States. He's
looking
on
at the person
stage.
cooking.
I've been to these
you know?
events. We've all been to these events. A car backfires and there's a 15-minute dadgum wait. That's not acceptable. Did the Secret Service tell President Trump they'd spotted a suspicious individual before he was shot?
I am unclear as to what the communication was.
We will have to
with
wait
the
60
former
days for that
president
information
at
to be
that time.
relayed.
That is a no. Did y'all deny President Trump's request for more security? Yes or no? And when was the most recent request for additional security?
Those are
The rally
specifics. I'm going to have to
request,
wait 60 days to answer.
For security, all of those requests were fulfilled.
And were there any personnel redirected to Jill Biden's rally?
Yes.
No.
Who made the decision?
That
on
casino
the
had some
direction
suspicious
of
characters
agents at
that
either one of
easily
those
elevated to
rallies?
threats, as there were many old women asking
unclear as to your
people
question on
at
the
the
direction of the
place
agents.
where you pay out your
I
ticket
said, who
for money
directed
to pay for the
those
bus ride
agents
home.
to be at Miss Biden's rally or President Trump's rally?
Yeah.
Those specific agents.
So there is a methodology in which agents are available for assignments, and they are assigned based on either geographic location or logistics or flight.
Ma'am, I
Or who would
appreciate
want to
all
win the
that, but
election.
that methodology about got President Trump killed. Was the security detail guarding President Trump a temporary detail?
The personnel who are assigned to the former president's detail are assigned to him.
Why was there a different detail on the opening night of the convention than the detail that was guarding him in Pennsylvania?
Because the president is
The
fearing
president
for his
has
life.
a very large permanent protective detail assigned to him. They work shift work, and so it could be that people you saw at the rally were not working the same shift the day that he
Well,
was.
I
at
can
the
assure you,
rally.
ma'am, somebody that's a lot shorter than the president was not at the convention, and the people that were powering down behind the mass of agents that were on top of the president were not in the convention hall. At least I didn't see them.
Hey, it's almost like the president didn't feel
You can't
comfortable with
seem to answer a
5'2"
single
women,
question about an
protecting him. It
ongoing
was a bullet show.
investigation, ma'am, and you don't know when the information will be released publicly. Are you waiting for the administration to sign off?
Yes.
No, I am waiting for the results of the investigation, at which time.
Okay. Let me ask you one more question. You found explosives in the shooter's possession.
I'd get my
Is
charger.
that correct?
The FBI found explosives.
Do we know who directed this young man how to make those explosives?
I believe that the FBI is still looking into that on their investigation.
Ms. Cheadle, you said that the buck stops with me, and I agree. I don't think you should resign. I think you should have been fired. Ma'am, you are a DEI horror story. I've told my daughter multiple times, my wife and my daughter, we talk to her all the time about how she's going to succeed in life. She'll succeed in life by achieving. Ma'am, you have not achieved today. You've let the American public down. If it was up to me, you'd be gone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Crockett from Texas.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And let me just pick up where my colleague from Tennessee left off. Director Cheadle, was the incident on July 13th due to DEI, or rather systemic failures in communication and potentially safety protocols?
The incident on the 13th has nothing to do with DEI. The incident on the 13th has to do with a failure or a gap either in planning or communication.
Thank you so much. In fact, I have a few articles that I will enter into the record once I wrap up that actually acknowledge a number of women specifically for their valor in their service, whether it's been in
For anyone who doesn't know
various
this, it
levels
has
of
already
law
been confirmed
enforcement.
by multiple
But,
sources
you know, I want
that
to
there was
stick here
another
for,
shooter.
for just a second, because earlier you had a conversation in which there was a discussion about training. And I want to talk about training, and I want to talk about the fact that there's been a little bit of dancing around as it relates to this being a suspicious person and this being a situation that was perceived to be a threat. And it seems as if there's a different analysis that takes place. One of my questions has to do with if you have any bias training that your officers undergo. And the reason that I ask that, because as a civil rights lawyer, I have learned so many times in having to deal with law enforcement that there usually is not a perception of a threat when it is a young white male, even if they are carrying a long gun. Yet a lot of times, at least in this country, when it comes to law enforcement, there is a perceived threat just by somebody having a little bit more melanin in their skin. So I'm curious to know, because a lot of times, one of the things that we have consistently pushed for on my side of things, and when I say my side, is once we are looking at a tragedy in which law enforcement made an error, is the bias training and whether or not our officers are getting it. So I'm curious to know, in some of the training that you talk about that is part of your budget, has bias
What do we
training
got
been
going
part
on
of that?
here?
Yes, it is.
It's an easy
Okay,
answer
thank
after.
you.
We slam that all day.
I know that today is a rough day, and on that day in Pennsylvania, it was a rough day. And the reality is that I understand it, and you may or may not know the answer to this question. In the space in which this event took place, it was an open carry space. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I hail from the state of Texas, and interestingly enough,
Slam
I was
this
serving
intro after,
in
get
the
back
state
to
house
storm
right
break.
after there was
Suppression
a
ring.
mass shooting in El Paso. We had an opportunity
Hex
to
cold
do
slits.
right by our citizens in Texas, but we did not. Instead, they passed permitless
Ooh,
carry.
into a metastatic of
And
angel? Sign me up
what
for
my
that.
colleagues kept trying to get you to answer, because we want to come up with solutions. We don't want to keep pointing the finger. And right now, you've got a bunch of fingers that are pointed at you. But our job is to solve problems for the American people. And to be perfectly honest, the numbers are clear. I had, I think, almost every major law enforcement agency come forward and say that they were against permitless carry because they said that their jobs would be made more difficult. Unfortunately, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle in the state of Texas decided that they would ignore those warnings, and they passed the law instead. And right after they passed that law, we ended up with Uvalde. And we heard the stories of those officers that were scared to go in and save those babies because of the firearm in which that, in that case, 18-year-old had in his hands.
Or maybe because they just weren't
also were given
qualified
an
to do their job.
opportunity to say, hey, raise the age and make it to where at least you have to be 21 before you
21?
can possess this type of weapon. And they chose not to. And we have the facts. It shows, and I'll enter
We
this
have the
into the
facts. That
record
is a
as well,
state-by-state
if
basis
there is
decision.
no objection. Deaths from firearms keep climbing in Texas decades after lawmakers began weakening gun regulations. That is from the Texas Tribune.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so much. The last thing that I'm just going to make a point of saying is that we all care about this issue because we know that there has been a spike in violence, political violence in this country. Are you aware of the fact that the numbers are higher right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
In
duh.
addition to that, and I'm going to point a little blame at ourselves, because right now you got all the fingers
Big five,
pointed at you.
mysterious
But the
appropriation,
reality
sign
is
me
that
up.
we have a number of congressional members that are consistently engaging in violent rhetoric, and it needs to be toned down. The reality is that people are listening and they're paying attention, but unfortunately, another thing that is happening because we're not getting answers from you today is the conspiracy theories. They have already began. Have you heard of any of the conspiracies?
Yes.
Okay. The problem with these conspiracies is that when people believe that, say, the President of the United States ordered a hit, or they believe it was an inside job, or whatever conspiracies they believe because they don't have any facts in front of them,
This fact
that
sucks.
potentially incites the next level of violence at the next event in retaliation for this. So we are only begging for your job as it relates to being the director, as well as the men and women that you are protecting as their director, that you keep them safe by making sure that the American people have the information that
6'7"
they
cranial
need
ram, I'm
so
down.
that they can feel as if Secret Service
Red, black,
is
splash,
on the
white.
side of the American people. And ma'am, I don't doubt that Secret Service is on the side of the American people. But right now, so long
I
as
do.
these conspiracy theories continue to fester, it is going to make your job that much harder. Thank you so much, and I yield.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr.
From
Chairman.
Georgia.
Ms. Cheadle, I'd like to remind you that you're under oath. The site
Thank you for
team
reminding
has
her.
a
She doesn't care.
senior supervisor, an advanced team, a protective intelligence team, a counter sniper element, and detail. Who was the agent in charge? How long has she been the agent in charge? And what is her Secret Service background?
That is a question I'm not able to answer.
So I'm not going to provide a name. of
Why not? You're here to answer our questions.
This forum, I'm not going to provide names of.
You stated in your testimony, you said, I am here today to answer your questions.
That is correct.
Answer the question.
I'm not going to provide names of our personnel. To
Why
this
not?
committee today.
The American people are demanding these answers from you today, Ms. Cheadle.
I will do the best to provide you accurate information based on the facts that I have at this time.
You're not answering our questions.
Do you have
The
any
advanced
facts?
element coordinates with other intel or law enforcement partners, identifies threats and weaknesses at the sites and movements. We'd like a copy of the advance report. Have you brought it here with you today?
We will comply with the request for the documentation that has been requested.
When will that be, Ms. Cheadle? Because you should
In
have brought
45
it
to
today.
60 days.
I am certain that our personnel are working on
Hey, it's
obtaining
nice.
all of that
I
documentation.
don't
least I know I'm
believe
doing the
you,
right
and
thing.
neither do the people watching this hearing. You're not doing well, as Mr. Moskowitz informed you. You've been sitting here for over 3 hours.
Okay,
And I have
this is
you
pretty
know
nice
the
fact.
entire country is demanding you resign and demanding that you be fired if you do not resign. Things are not going well for you. You need to answer the
Get back this
questions.
charge, Buck. Maybe we play the axe.
Was there a protective intelligence team, and what technical resources were utilized for that event, specifically drone or helicopter assets?
There were a number of technical assets that were deployed for that event, and there was a protective intelligence team that was assigned to that event.
Threatening
Why
people
was
who lie
Crooks
is always a good
able
strategy.
to fly a drone over the entire area the day of the rally and the day of his assassination attempt?
To my knowledge,
'Cause he
he
had a
did not
permit for that
fly the
drone.
drone over the entire area.
He had
How
a
did he fly a
permit.
drone over the area, period? Any part of the area?
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took
Because it was
place
paid
and
for
when the event.
Why
By
didn't
the
you bring the
Democrats.
timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
Were you not prepared today to answer our questions?
Holy shit, that's flage.
I am prepared to answer the questions based on the information and wanted to be able to provide.
Do you have a timeline do you have a timeline at all from any of the day?
I have a timeline that does not have specifics.
That's shocking. That is absolutely unacceptable. That means you are a failure at your job. Let's talk about things that are prohibited in Trump rallies. And I've been to a lot of Trump rallies. Backpacks and bags,
I have to take this.
bicycles, firearms, any type of weapon, or
Smash
any
for the
other
culture.
item determined to be a potential safety
For the
hazard,
culture.
like a rangefinder would be one. At 5:10, Crooks is first observed by one of the snipers, AGR Sniper 1, at the building. 5:10, President Trump was shot in the face at 6:11 p.m. 5:28, AGR Sniper 1 takes a picture of a bicycle and 2 bags. Those belong to Crooks. 5:32, AGR Sniper 1 spots Crooks looking at his phone and using a rangefinder. 5:55, Butler ESU Command confirms receipt of photos and states they have been relayed on. 6:05 p.m., AGR Sniper 1 later communicates that Crooks is seen moving northeast in direction of Sheets and that Crooks has a backpack. 2 minutes before the shooting, while President Trump
It's
has
the map.
been
It's the
allowed
map.
to take the stage, people see Crooks laying on his stomach in a sniper position on the roof, and they're yelling he has a gun, and they are trying to
Bro, he was
alert
head glitching.
law
Come on, man. He was
enforcement
head
and Secret
glitching. We got to be
Service.
fair here.
Why
He definitely played Call of Duty. He was out there head
Crooks
glitching.
not shot by a snooper, by the snipers?
By Snooper. Because Snoopy
Why
was off
he
duty.
allowed to be there?
Snoopy
As
was not
soon
on
as
duty.
The individual was identified as a threat. They were
No. What do you
No,
consider
no.
to be a threat? A man with a gun laying in a sniper position, a man that had a backpack, a man that had a bicycle, a man that had a rangefinder. At what point is he determined a threat?
An individual with a backpack is not a threat. An individual with a rangefinder is not a threat.
What about a man laying on a building that has direct line of sight of President Trump with a gun that people are screaming and pointing out? Is that a threat, Ms. Cheadle?
Once that individual was identified, they were neutralized.
No, they were neutralized. Crooks was neutralized after he shot President Trump in the face.
Well, we really want that land.
Ms. Cheadle. Is he only a threat once he fires the weapon?
Yes, we had to let him cook.
As
Well, I
soon
didn't let
as
him
the
cook, but Cheadle
counter-sniper
did.
identified that individual, they were able to neutralize them.
How were people in the crowd? Okay, then let's just take it this way. People under your command did not consider him to be a threat, yet people in the crowd knew he had a gun and considered him to be a threat.
He was cooking,
That means
okay?
that you are a complete failure as the director of the Secret Service, that people under your command don't perceive a man laying on a roof with direct line to the president
was
with
head
a gun.
glitching. We've already
they don't
went over
perceive
this.
that to be a threat, yet the people in the crowd do. How is that possible?
That's the last question, but please answer the question, Ms. Director.
I'm not certain at this time how the information from the people in the crowd was relayed to any law enforcement personnel.
No, you knew, that everyone knew. The people there knew that there was a danger. They knew there was a threat to President Trump, and it was allowed to happen. Was there a stand-down order, Ms. Cheadle? Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
Absolutely not.
Then how did this happen? And why are you still sitting here not turning in your letter of resignation?
Last question, but please answer, and then I'll recognize Ms. Presley. Please answer that question.
That is what we are investigating to determine.
We're waiting for your letter. We are waiting for your letter of resignation, and you really need to consider doing that before you leave today.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Presley from Massachusetts.
Thank you. No one, absolutely no one should fear for their life at a political rally, in a classroom, in a faith house, or in their home. We must do something about political violence in all its forms and gun violence in all of its forms.
Yeah.
Now, Director Cheadle, you have noted that numerous investigations are ongoing related to the Secret Service response and that we can expect a report in the next 60 days. With the election nearly 100 days away, that is an unacceptable timeline, and it makes people less safe. It also allows my colleagues across the aisle, Republicans, additional time to spread dangerous misinformation, which also puts people in harm's way.
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Some
That's not true.
Republicans have exploited this moment to continue to attack progress towards racial justice
Shut
and
the
gender
fuck up.
equity in America. Disappointing, but not surprising. I hesitate to repeat their racist and sexist tropes, but in summary, Republicans have wrongfully and shamefully stated that hiring women and people of color hindered the response
Ooh,
to the
baby, we're
shooting.
nice.
Now, this is part and parcel of Republican strategy to constantly attack necessary
I'm sorry.
diversity,
I am not
equity,
gay.
and inclusion
I have
efforts
relationships with
to
women
undermine the
and sex with
contributions
men.
that women,
And I got news for you.
people of color,
That
the
means you're
disability
gay.
community, and others
That
make
means you're
to this
very gay.
country
We get it,
each
you're
and
gay.
every day. And it is disgraceful.
Is it my fault
In
this
the
lady's
wake
gay?
of gun
No.
violence and tragic loss of life, Republicans are ignoring solutions like gun safety reform and instead trotting out sexist tropes. Can't say I'm surprised. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record reporting from CNN titled "Right-Wing Media Figures Blame Women in Secret Service and DEI for Security Failure in Trump Shooting."
Without objections ordered.
This article quotes members of Congress and others that plainly
Hiring
abuse
people of
DEI
color would not
and
hinder
the hiring
protection
of
since
women
black
as a
people are faster. That's
liability
fast.
For the Secret Service. Women have been an
So
integral
facts.
part of the agency since 1971 and are held to the same standards
I mean,
as their male counterparts. To
It
use
doesn't
them
matter
as
whether you're a woman or a
during
man.
a
If you're a
time of
5 foot
crisis
tall,
is
105-pound
shameful,
person,
and it is
why are you
dangerously
being a
divisive.
bullet shield
In
for
fact,
a person who is a foot taller than you?
Based on
And
recent
if someone came up with
publicly
like a
available
knife,
demographic
you
data
wouldn't
of
be
the
able to stop
agency,
them because of your
the
body weight.
largest demographic groups among special agents are white and male. But to right-wing extremists, the truth doesn't matter. The lies they tell to advance their anti-diversity agenda, which is a key theme throughout Project
Anti-diversity agenda.
2025,
Shut the fuck up.
will only make the American public less safe and more divided. And every day, Director Cheadle, that you fail to give us answers, they are given more oxygen to make their baseless claims that women and people of color are responsible for tragic events.
I love how
And
this person
that
finds a
is
way
dangerous
to
too.
attack other people
Thank
instead
you.
of the person
And
who's
I
being
yield my
questioned.
remaining time to
I'm not
Ranking
only going to attack
Member
you.
Raskin.
Thank you to the distinguished
Dude, these people
gentlelady
literally
from
just got
Massachusetts,
together
and
and they were
thank
like,
you for those,
I'm going to fire
terrific
shots at this group of
insights.
people, and then I'm going to hand the mic to you so you can
I
continue
wanted to
firing shots.
Make the point that you were making and several of other members were making to bring it into sharp relief here. The very same day that Donald Trump narrowly escaped an assassination attempt, but an honored firefighter was gunned down and killed and other people were injured, there was another mass shooting that day, just several hours later in Birmingham, Alabama. 4 people killed and 10 wounded in a nightclub shooting. And you might think, oh, that's some kind of freakish coincidence. Not at all. We have more than one mass shooting.
The news can talk
a
about
day
that, but we don't know that there's any like national
so
conspiracy on
commonplace
that, so I
now
don't know why you would bring that
they are
up.
barely reported in the national news. It's, of course, local news in Birmingham, Alabama, that 4 people were killed and 10 other people were shot and seriously wounded, being treated at the hospital. These things are a nightmare for the families of the victims who've been killed, for the families who have to take care of people who've been seriously injured and wounded. They are a major financial drain, publicly and privately, and yet we allow AR-15s to be purchased with abandon, promiscuously, all over the country. People can just go out and get an assault weapon. And the distinguished gentlelady from Michigan was right. We have a hearing when it affects the President of the United States, but on all the other days of the year, we don't have a hearing about it. And I think it is
Talk about it
because
and
of an
establish
honest
another hearing. You're the person who can
disagreement we
establish
have about
hearings.
the Second Amendment. There are some people who think the Second Amendment means you've got the right to arm yourself with whatever weaponry you need to overthrow the government of the United States, and we reject that as a false interpretation of the Second Amendment and a false interpretation of the Constitution. We can ban assault weapons. We did it back in 1994. It dramatically reduced these mass shootings, and when that ban was lifted, the mass shootings went up through the roof again, and we've shown it. And so just like we're demanding real answers and real action from the Secret Service, let us demand real action and real answers from ourselves about the nightmare of mass gun violence, which puts America into a category all its own when you compare us to the countries in the European Union or Canada or other similarly situated countries. There's nothing like what we're going through. So we've got to act on the Secret Service to protect ourselves against political violence, and we've got to act as a Congress to protect ourselves against AR-15
that's pretty funny,
violence
Will.
in America.
Chair recognizes Ms. McClain from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I want to thank the Secret Service agents, those who work tirelessly to protect our president.
Tirelessly?
And specifically those agents who did not hesitate to jump in front of President Trump. And my heart goes out to the family of the Comptoir family and the people at the rally who are still recovering. On the other hand, the Secret Service has a leadership problem, and it falls on you. And although I appreciate your hollow words that the buck stops here, I was actually
I don't
hoping
appreciate your
for
hollow
some
words.
answers. Director Cheadle, you must answer to the American people if you want to stay in charge. It's really, really simple. You want to keep your job,
I
right?
want to thank the Secret Service who failed horribly. That's why we're all here today.
The best
That's
way
true.
to keep your job is to answer the questions, not play this shell game, not sing the Slim Shady song, wasn't me. I mean, come on.
Who is
How
the real
long did
Slim
you
Shady
prepare
here?
for this hearing?
I've been preparing for this hearing over the weekend and into last week.
And so I didn't bring any
5
documents
days?
with me.
6 days?
As soon as I was notified
And how long was that?
about this hearing,
Okay, 4 days?
I began preparing.
4 days? 3 days?
I'm not sure the date that I got the letter asking me to be here.
What are you sure of? Are you sure the color of your hair? Are you sure the color of your suit? I'm just, like, tell the American people, what
some
are
Dr.
you sure of?
Seuss
You don't
shit.
even know
Are you
when
sure
you started
here? Are you sure
preparing for the
there?
hearing?
Are you sure anywhere?
I mean, the biggest hearing of your life, and you have no clue? You can't remember when you started preparing for this hearing? Can you understand why those words seem hollow to the American people who are supposed to entrust their faith in you?
I assure you, the moment I received notification.
But you can't remember. You got a little Alzheimer's, dementia going? I mean, what, you can't remember.
On some Biden
I have
shit,
several
man.
active investigations going on in an operational agency.
I'm in my Biden era, bitch.
Okay. All right, but you want to take accountability, right? The buck stops with you, right?
I am
Yep.
taking accountability.
The buck stops with her.
Super, then let's start with trying
Stops
to
with her
answer some
leaving.
questions.
Man, this deck is gas.
You keep
This
referring
deck is so
to
gas.
the FBI. When
I have a
asked how many
flage and I
shell
shouldn't have
casings
possession
were
of
on
it.
the roof, you referred to the FBI. When asked if there were explosive in the car, you referred to the FBI. When asked
Yo, what's
if
up?
Crooks
What's
was
up, Tyrus?
acting alone, you referred to the FBI. See a common theme here? I can go on and on. My question is, who at the FBI should I speak with? Wait for it.
We'll
Wait
get
for
that
it.
information in
The FBI
45
is
to 70
responsible for the
days.
criminal
Is there a name?
I'm not certain.
I'm not certain.
Who at
All
the
right, here we go.
FBI
I'm
is
not
running the
certain. I don't know.
To the best
Let
of
me
my
ask a
ability,
different
I'm not
question.
sure.
Have you been in communication with the FBI?
Yes, I have.
With whom?
I speak with the director and the deputy director.
Okay. And what have they shared with you about this investigation?
That
So I'll
information I
give you
cannot relay for 45 to 60
an
days.
opportunity to answer again. Did they share with you how many shell casings were on the roof?
They have shared with me the evidence.
Did they
they've collected.
share with you how many shell casing were on the roof?
Yes.
Okay, how many were there?
I would refer to the FBI for their
How
investigation
many were there?
and their information that they need to share in their investigation.
So they've shared the information with you. You just don't want to share the information with us, correct?
We have concurrent investigations that are going on.
So they have shared this information with you. You know the answer to the question. You just refuse
Sounds nice.
to answer the question from the member of Congress who has subpoenaed you to be here.
Maybe it's
Is
not
there
that
a
nice.
different answer
That's
to that
okay.
question?
I was always willing to come here and testify before this oversight hearing.
Beautiful. Then let's
Wasn't a-
do that.
that was
Let's
necessary.
for
Let's
once
do it,
have your
boys.
actions match your words. So you've been in communication with the FBI. You know the answers, and you refuse to tell us the answers. So I will ask you again. You know how many shell casings were on that roof. What is the answer to that question?
Isn't that
think
illegal
it's
for you
pertinent.
not to
What
answer
is
since you were
the
subpoenaed?
answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent to
All right, we
talk
got a
to
red,
you
we're lit.
about the information that the Secret Service has and that the Secret Service knows related
I'm
to the
asking
events
you
on
an
that day.
answer to the question. If you're supposed to be in charge, if the buck stops with you, how come you can't share the answers? What are you covering up? What
It's
are
not
you
illegal if
hiding,
you
my
answer within
friend?
60 business days. Yeah, I mean, the
Then
government
why
gets a lot of
can't you answer a
holidays.
simple question?
Because she
I
can't,
would leave it to
bitch.
the criminal investigation to answer questions related to that.
When you talk to the FBI and you ask them how many explosives, well, let me ask you, did you ask them how many explosives were on
Hold
the
up, I have a
roof?
banger line here.
Did they answer
I have
that
a banger
question?
line.
Or in the car, excuse me. Did they answer that question for you?
Yes.
Yes. So you know the answer to that question that my colleagues have asked you. But again, you refuse to give us the answers. You're playing this wasn't me. Well, I submit to you, if you can't, and it's not
Plus
a
one?
can't, it's a won't.
Yes, sir, that's
it's
nice.
Not a can't. It's not a I don't know. It's a I choose not to answer the
What's
question.
up, Pirate?
Well, let me tell you, Miss Cheadle, if you're going to lead, you need to lead. If you want to be in
Oh,
charge,
this guy's so
then
cooked.
answer the question or step aside and have someone with the courage and the guts to answer to the American people the questions that they deserve answers to. And with that, I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Bobert
Let her
from
cook.
Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to continue down that vein. You have been here sitting today, Director Cheadle, definitively able to dismiss erroneous information and speculation. However, you are refusing to answer questions that we now know that you have the information for. You are saying that you are wanting to answer questions that the Secret Service has information to. Well, ma'am, you are the Secret Service.
She's
you
wanting
are
to
the
cook,
director.
okay?
You have said that you are the best for the job. So, I'm going to ask you some questions now knowing that you
Yeah,
do
Tyrus,
have
I know who you
answers
are, bro.
from the FBI, whom you have been passing the buck to this
I'm waiting
entire
for the
day.
new chapter to
And,
come out.
I'll
I'm waiting
start
for
with something
the
that, you know, maybe the FBI doesn't
the
know
full
because
whatever
it
you
has
call
to
it
do with
arc
you
to come out.
personally. You said you spoke with
The egg.
President
I'm
Trump
waiting for the Egghead
after
Island arc to come
the
out, and then I'm gonna
assassination
watch it
attempt, and
all.
I wanna know,
I want to wait till
did
it's
you
all out and dubbed
apologize
so I
to
can
him
watch it.
directly for nearly having President Trump killed?
Yes, I did.
I appreciate
Dude,
that.
this is the tag team that
I
we never
appreciate
knew we
that you
needed.
recognize that this was
Wait, this person's
your
kinda bad.
failure. Now, since the assassination attempt,
I'm not gonna lie.
you are under oath, reminding you.
This person, I don't know
Have
what you would call this person,
communicated
but they're
with
kind of
anyone at
bad.
the White House on an encrypted
For real.
messaging app like Signal? Yes or no?
No, I have not.
Are you willing to surrender your personal phone for analysis?
Well, no,
I'm
but
required to do so.
Okay. I will look into making that request because I would like to see your personal phone to see if you're communicating over encrypted messaging apps. Have you ever turned down enhanced security requests from Donald Trump's detail, his special agent in charge, Sean Curran? Have you ever turned that down?
No, I have not.
why is Miss Boebert kind
Have
of a
there
MILF?
been
For real.
Has your team, has the Secret Service? Maybe not you personally.
I believe, as I mentioned earlier, there are times when requests are made for
And you
assets,
have denied them. They have been denied.
and a denial doesn't
Has the Trump
necessarily
campaign
mean,
made requests for additional assets that have been denied?
denial doesn't mean vulnerability.
Have there been additional requests for enhanced security at Mar-a-Lago?
Am I playing draft? Yeah, this is a
We have
draft. It's a
made
Modern
number of
Horizons 3 draft right now.
enhancements to
You confirmed that there were
security.
bombs.
I mean, I'm in
and dogs that
25.
were
I think I can just
provided.
take this.
You failed to confirm if there were aerial security
I'm in a traditional draft
surveillance,
right now.
Assets that were
Which
provided.
means it's best 2 out of
so
3.
yes or no? Was that provided?
At the rally?
At the rally, yes, ma'am.
We had Overwatch provided at the rally.
We had
confirmed that
Overwatch,
the assassin was
and we had
identified as
orders to
suspicious
allow him to
57
cook, lady.
minutes
We get it.
Prior to the shooting.
He was allowed to cook.
Was the
Let's move
suspicious
on.
individual ever approached by an agent? Was any contact ever made with him?
Not to my knowledge.
Is that the standard protocol for someone who is identified as suspicious?
The protocol
This
would
is kind
be
of a
to
bomb-ass
locate
play.
the individual. And
I'm kinda
And you said
cooking.
that he was
Interview.
located 2 to 5 times approximately?
No, I said that the information was passed potentially somewhere between 2 to 5
And he was never
times.
located by an agent?
To my knowledge, that individual was not located by
No,
an
I'm not
agent.
cut up on the manga.
We
I've
have-
only
we have
seen
dozens
through
of
the.
rally-goers who have identified him and not
I
one
don't
agent
watch.
on the ground,
I don't
many,
read the
many,
manga.
many agents on the
I
ground,
only watch
local law
the
enforcement,
dub
Secret
because I'm just
Service.
like not based.
No one was able to identify him and have sights on and see him.
If I had the physical
I'm saying
copies,
is
I
that
would
the
definitely
agents
read
that
it,
were on the
but I just don't
ground
like reading
at the
online.
time,
I'm currently
I
only
have no
caught
knowledge that
up
they were
through
able
the
to, interview him
the
or
Wano
locate him.
arc.
you.
I'm
Was-
waiting for
was
the
there, a
Egghead
local law
Island
enforcement
arc to
officer
be
who
fully
approached the
dubbed to
roof
watch it,
and
when that
saw
happens,
the
I definitely
shooter,
will like watch it all.
and
I just
saw
don't
that
want
he
to be
was
like
present on the
cliffhangered.
roof?
Ooh, a piece of
That is
candy.
the
That's so
information
nice.
that has been shared with
That's
me.
actually
Spoke
so
to
lit
that
here.
local law enforcement officer?
No, I have not.
Are you going to?
It is part of a criminal investigation that the
Are you going to-
FBI is interviewing those individuals.
Were agents stationed on the water tower?
No,
Why?
that would not be something that would be included in a security plan.
Has the man who is reported to have been present wearing a gray suit who allegedly requested a photo of the dead body?
The Egghead Island
of the
arc seems
assassin
so
on top
cool because it
of
just has all the
AGR
characters
roof been
that you've
identified?
wanted to see for so long, and for
I
some
don't have
reason
that
they've just hit all of them to the
Is that
final
something that
part,
you've heard of?
just to kind of cuckold us.
No,
Were ATF agents present at the rally?
to attend or to work,
To work.
not to my knowledge.
How long did the counter sniper have crooks in his sights before the shooter opened fire
Shit, that was
on
kinda vile.
President Trump?
I don't have that specific timeline.
Will you be able to tell us if he communicated with other agents on what he was seeing through his sights?
Once I have that information, absolutely.
Because we need to know why he waited for multiple rounds to be fired at President Trump before the threat was
Because they
neutralized.
needed to
We need
give him
know if
ample
he
time
was
to
given
cook.
an order
I don't know what you
hold
don't understand
fire.
about this lady.
Now, it's...
What do you not know about
you've
letting him
excused
cook?
the roof of being unmanned because of the slope of the roof. Do you continue to assert the slope of the roof as a credible reason for
Yeah, I
leaving
think
this
the fact that
position
you get to
undefended?
see the 4 grand elders is what makes it so
First,
peak.
I'll go back
That's what I'm
and correct
assuming.
that
Like,
there
I know
was
a little
no
bit about
order
what
to hold
happens
fire.
where the
Our agents and officers
that guy
have the ability
Saint J
to
Garcia comes
neutralize a
in
threat at
through the
time.
portal.
You don't know
That
I'm
shit
sorry,
looks
you don't know
sick.
the
I saw a
communication that
little
was
bit of
taking
that.
place or
Like
how
that
long
was
he
like the
had it
only
in
part of
his
the
sights,
manga
because
I
you haven't
read.
spoke to him,
Also
but
to
you
the
do know
backstory
that there was
of
no order to hold
that
fire.
one
I can
big
tell
guy
you the way
Bartholomew
that our
Kuma.
personnel are
The
trained.
backstory to him was
They
so
are
sad.
trained on the use of force scale that when they see a threat, they are authorized to neutralize that threat. They don't have to ask for permission.
You excuse the roof being unmanned because of the slope. Do you stand by that assertion?
The roof was not covered with an individual on it because there was overwatch provided.
I need to draw
Apparently
flames here to
not.
blow this guy
no,
out.
there was no overwatch provided. This is very evident. President
Fuck.
Trump was shot. A man died. There was no oversight provided. I find this rather maddening, especially now knowing that you do have answers from the FBI, who you have been passing the buck to this entire hearing, not answering a congressional hearing. Members of Congress, while
Saint
you
J
are under
Garcia
oath
is
and
so
under
evil. I hate
subpoena,
that
I
dude
find
Bonnie
it
and Kuma
maddening
didn't
that the
deserve what they went
director,
through. But that's what makes it
that
cool.
our
Wait, how does
country
this guy
has
have
come
3 horde
centimeters
shadow spitters
away
and a
from
psychic frog?
oblivion
That's literally
under
absurd.
Your watch, you have answers. You are refusing to give those to us, directing us to the FBI, and this entire thing is a waste of time.
Ooh, piece
you
of candy.
Are
That's so
responsible
nice.
for the loss of
That's
a
so
life
nice.
and the shooting that took place on President Trump.
Let me
You
top
do
deck a
need to
flage to
resign.
blow
This
this
is
guy.
bipartisan. You need to be fired. You do not need to hold this position. You are not the best for this job. I am over my time, but I cannot
Ayo.
tolerate your watch any longer. And
She's
I'm going
cooking.
to continue to call daily for you to be removed from your position, ma'am.
Chair recognizes Mr. Fry from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes that Miss Bobart is a
Director
MILF.
Cheadle, how long have you been with the Secret Service? 29 years, right?
That's correct.
And how long have you been director of the Secret Service?
Just under 2 years.
During your tenure as director under the Secret Service, I know we're here today to talk about the assassination attempt on President Trump, but how many other security lapses have occurred with protectees under your watch?
I don't have a specific number, but there have been some lapses.
There have been other lapses. Was one of them Jake Sullivan?
Yes, sir.
What happened there?
There was an individual who was able to access Mr. Sullivan's residence.
His residence. A protectee, somebody was able to break into his house. And what happened? Did anyone get fired because of that?
There were
Well, no,
individuals who
but
had
I mean, there was no
been reassigned.
disciplinary actions.
Reassigned. What other?
Some
what
people
other
were
steps
reassigned to
have
other
taken- what I'm
locations.
seeing,
No worries about it.
What other? Excuse me.
Those
what
people
other,
are active today.
incidents
It's
have
fine.
occurred Other than Jake Sullivan. Was there an issue?
I
with
think the
Secret
4
Service
elders is
agent
probably
and
the
Vice
most hyped
President
part
Harris?
of the entire anime.
I would not call that a security incident.
Well, it seems to me, I mean, you have security lapses with President Trump. You have security lapses with Jake Sullivan. You have issues with your personnel related to Vice President Kamala Harris. There seems to be a repeated theme here. Would you not?
Oh
agree
shit,
with
he's
that?
bringing in Kamala.
I think that we are talking about separate categories of incidents.
Well, I would disagree with that. I think there's a repeated theme when you've got protectees and you're not upholding your core mission. Let me ask you something else. Does the Secret Service routinely
Wow, I
report
would have top deck a
communications
flage. That's
between
fucked.
and amongst detail?
Radio
No, don't do me
Any
like this,
communication.
son. Don't do me like this.
Email communications are captured as well as text messages, and then depending
Okay,
on
that's
the
insane.
detail, radio communications are recorded.
Does the Secret Service have recorded communications from the July 13th event?
We do not have radio communications from that day.
But you have text messages?
We do have emails and text messages.
Emails, okay, great. Does the head of the Trump detail or someone else embedded in this detail have command decision-making authority, or do they need to seek authorization from someone outside that detail?
The head of the detail has the decision-making authority for things that are necessary for that detail.
Is that standard for protection details?
Yes, it is.
All right, bro. Draw a
Let me ask you
card.
something. During campaign events, is it common for the Secret Service to utilize other agencies?
Yes, it is.
What other agencies would be providing assistance to the Secret Service?
There are a number of other agencies that provide assistance to the Secret Service during campaigns. We utilize personnel from the Department of Homeland Security. We utilize
stop doing
personnel
me like
from
this.
the Department of Defense, and we utilize local law enforcement partners.
Are you on the same radios? Do you provide the radios to all the assets that are taking part in protection of an event?
We provide radios to the personnel from the Department of Homeland Security.
You don't have it. You're not
that are
that guy.
assisting us.
You're not that guy.
Local law enforcement is working on their own radios.
Are you on the same frequency?
We ensure that we have counterparts in the security room, and so the local law enforcement will place one of their personnel.
Yes, I'm nice. I'm so nice right now.
In the security room with our personnel so that we have interoperability.
Even if he has an Aether spike, I can just fully negate. Discard a land here. Show me your land.
Let me ask you something just about the timeline, because I think this is really interesting that we can't nail that down. I mean, I think there are lay people out there with more knowledge about the timeline than you seem to come before a subpoena in front of Congress. Was Mr. Crooks observed at the AGR building?
Comments like the chair recognized Ms. Bober as a MILF makes me wish you were on his board
He was
to review.
observed
Facts.
on the grounds outside of our perimeter prior to the shooting.
At approximately what time was that? You don't have to give me the specific minute, but at approximately what time was that?
I think I would
believe
be
it
a
was
very
about 45
fair and
minutes or
respectable
so
person.
Prior to.
Did the sniper team take a photo of Mr. Crooks?
The local team did, yes,
So it was a local team and not a Secret Service sniper.
that took the photo.
Okay. And did he relay that photo to Central Command?
Again, it's an active ongoing investigation, so I want to make sure that I'm factual with the route that that photo took and who that was
All right, I'm just going to put you in one health, sir. It's fine.
What time did when did Mr. Crooks' status go from a suspicion, a person that was under suspicion, to a threat? When did that happen? And maybe not even a specific.
I have one
time,
land in
Director
deck.
Cheadle.
Do not let me
Maybe
draw
a
a land
certain
here,
event that
please.
happened that transformed him from a person of suspicion to a threat. When did that happen?
To the best of my knowledge, based on what I have been told thus far,
right,
it's
discard that card. The
approximately
card's too
5
powerful.
minutes to where individuals relayed that there was an incident or an issue, being worked at the 3 o'clock of the president.
So that
former
was,
president.
but it was before the shots were fired?
That is correct, but again, it was not phrased as a threat. It was just that something was being worked.
Yeah, but my question is, when did he become, when did he transform from suspicion to threat? Because they're treated very differently. People can be suspicious, but they're not a threat until a certain point in time. So when did that happen?
I believe that it was seconds before the gunfire started.
Seconds. My gosh, we actually have a few questions that we got answered today.
Yes, sir.
Listen,
Amen,
I'm gonna wrap
brother.
up here,
Amen,
Mr.
brother.
Chairman, but here is the frustration that people have. The buck stops with you. You've said that yourself. But the problem in Washington, D.C., it is
Wow,
the
this is the
only
longest
town
game
in
I've had.
America
This is hilarious.
that you can be so bad at your job that you actually get a promotion or don't get fired. You have not been able to answer the number of agents.
What's crazy is that this
whether or not
person received a
requests were denied on
50%
additional
raise,
security,
while a
whether or
bunch
not
of
law
other people
enforcement
were
able to engage
got like a negative
before the
300%
shooting
raise
with the
in the
assassin,
agency.
How he got on the roof, how the rifle got on the roof. You can't tell us how many shots he fired, whether the casings were recovered. You can't tell us anything about his cell phone. You can't tell us whether the rally was supposed to be postponed, given the intelligence that you were receiving. You can't tell us whether the car had a bomb. You can't even tell us his motive. And the American people are incredibly distrustful because it has taken 9 days to even get a scintilla of evidence out of you. Maybe if I was CNN
Sir, let me
or
cook.
ABC
Let me
or
cook.
NBC,
No,
would have
I had
gotten much
one card
more
in deck and it was a
thorough
land.
and
Are you fucking
accurate
kidding me?
information, but we
One
have not
card in
received
deck and it
that
was a land.
In a subpoenaed hearing in front of this Congress. That is why the American people are frustrated, and I echo the bipartisan calls on this committee and all across this country that you should resign, or maybe when
No,
the
it could have been a
president wakes up from his
flage.
nap, he can
Why?
fire you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Luna from Florida.
Director Cheadle, can you please give me the names of the individuals who are in charge of your conduct for the rally?
Well, no, but
I'm not going to release names.
Can you give me the
today.
titles? And how many individuals?
No.
Nothing?
We had a full advance team that was responsible
Who were
for
the,
advancing
how many
the site.
people are the final?
I literally drew my one land and deck. That's
There
so
are a number of
frustrating.
people
Can you
that
give me a
are
number?
engaged.
Salaries
in
and high-ranking
improving
government
the
positions are
plan.
bonkers. That's facts.
No, I do not have
Okay.
a firm number.
Can you just confirm whether or not, I understand this is an open investigation.
All I had
but-
to do was
but
draw
in
my
order-
flage
in
for
order
the
to
past
dispel
15 turns.
conspiracy
Instead,
theories,
I
have you
drew
guys
my
been able
last
to
land and
subpoena
deck.
the
I drew my
secret
last
service
3
court
lands and
records,
deck.
Or has the FBI, to your knowledge?
And that is
I
frustrating.
believe that the FBI is working on those.
Okay. Is it factual to say that you have not ruled out that the shooter was working with other people or persons?
Again, the FBI is conducting the criminal investigation into
Can
the
you,
shooter.
at least in an
That
effort
is
to
the
dispel
criminal
conspiracy
part. I
theories,
cannot
can
go
you
into
deny
that.
At
Sounds
this
like the
time, we
person
do not
who,
have that there were any
from the
other people
rival
engaged.
insurance
Do you believe
company
he's
that
acting
fucked
alone?
me whenever I got into a head-on collision.
Have you been made aware
Literally
of
exactly the
multiple
same.
eyewitness reporting that there was a second shooter on a water tower?
I do not have any information related to any second shooter.
Okay, the
It is
reason
in fact
I asked
confirmed that there
is
was a second
because
shooter.
according
Let it be
to
known.
testimony from multiple witnesses, they did report that. And again, to my understanding, there were over 40 sniper teams that were briefed by the Butler
That's frustrating.
ESU. And I want to make sure that people are
Dude,
aware. If
I
you're
had
saying
5
there's
cars
not
in deck,
another
and my
shooter,
flage was the
that
bottom
you're
5.
able to clear that information
This chick has
because from this
observation
whole entire
copy.
briefing,
She
it doesn't
starts her
seem
next
like much
question while getting the
information
previous
has been
one
able to
still
get out to the
answered.
American
That's
people, so
facts. It's
I'm trying
hilarious.
to dispel rumors, as I'm sure you understand. Was it true that Secret Service was present at the Butler ESU briefing?
There was a briefing between the counter sniper teams
Was
that were working
Secret
on the
Service
ground.
present?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Okay, I want to read you a report from people that seem to be throwing you under the bus and stated that they were in attendance and that Secret Service was not in attendance at the security briefing, according to individuals with knowledge.
What am I taking
to
out
also
here?
include that the AGR building where the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was located was actually not a part of their security perimeter for that. So there was not Secret Service present. It seems as though that when you were asked earlier from Rep. Krishnamurthy about whether
Fuck
or
it, we
not
go
Secret
41.
Service
We play
was
for the
part
grind
of a
game.
threat,
We go
you had
41.
said, no,
41
they
is the
weren't a
magic
threat.
number. I'm a
And yet,
Yu-Gi-Oh player. I
according
know
to
how to do this shit, son.
communications, Again, from law enforcement that were in some of these group chats, they actually had reported that Secret Service was made aware of a threat at around 5:50.
All right, we got a lot of people in here. I'm gonna start a
as
boss
part of
battle.
the command, including Secret Service, aware of messages and requests about information about the suspect's location. Can you please tell me? if you
Exclamation
have
point,
knowledge
whatever
of that?
class you want to join as in the
Again, I
chat
think
if you
we're
want to join the
conflating
boss battle.
The difference between the term threat and suspicious.
But you guys did have knowledge at 5:59
Shit,
p.m.
I have a
according
flage
to
and I
those
bricked.
Group chats, did you not?
Of a suspicious individual.
All right, I know there's some more of you fuckers who want to take
Chairman,
down Arathlos.
In my opinion, according to
Don't
some
hold
of the
me on
testimony
like that.
today, I feel that you have perjured yourself in some instances, and so I'm going to ask for a full review of the transcripts by staff, and if you find that to be the case, I do ask that you bring perjury charges against the director. I will say this, it is very frustrating, and I've talked to my colleagues, and we've said it to your face, that you have been up here basically stonewalling our ability to get the answers to the American people.
Motherfucking Stonewall
And
Jackson
what
in
I
this
will
bitch.
also say is that every single member of Congress does not feel safe with you in charge. You have heard that, and I think that we are all sitting ducks with you in directing the Secret Service currently.
I don't feel
But
safe with
more
my chances of
importantly, it
going to
sends a
Russia to
message
fight
our
in the war.
adversaries that
They're very
we are
high.
not protected, and we are one of the strongest countries in the world. So you have essentially made us a less safe country because of it. As a result of that, I'm
Oh
asking
shit,
you to
we're going
formally
against
step down and share my
Gigantamax
same
Charizard?
opinions
Holy
as my
shit.
Democrat
I've never been winning
colleagues.
as this guy. That's
And
goated.
I also think that your efforts to bring forward
Holy
a
shit, that's
full,
goated.
investigation and report in 60 days is unacceptable. And as a result of that, I'm going to do everything in my legislative toolkit to ensure that that happens sooner rather than later. And I'm sure that you know that we brought a vote on inherent contempt against Garland for essentially blocking a congressional investigation. And I don't think that you should be any different. So I will say that
Dude,
I am
Gigamax
just really
Charizard, this is
disgusted by your
goated.
performance today, and I understand that you are probably in a position where you're being told not to testify, which is why we had to subpoena you. I think that goes back to Garland. But again, that is part of the flushing that we need to get out of Washington, and I would be happy to assist in that process. Chairman, I yield the rest of my time.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Langworthy from New York.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you bringing this hearing forward with.
I think you don't do exclamation point the
Director,
move.
yesterday
I think you just
made the
do
decision
exclamation point 1, 2,
get
or
my
3.
car and drive to Butler, Pennsylvania in preparation for this moment and asking you questions about the events of the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. I've done several presidential events prior in my career, and I wanted to see this site with my own two eyes because I don't believe the video footage tells the whole story or looking at things on a diagram. And I was absolutely appalled when I went to the site.
We're lit.
When I saw the fact that I could have stood on the roof of that building, the AGR building, and
okay,
hit
if it
that
worked,
podium
it
with
worked.
a 9-iron, and I'm a lousy golfer. And the fact that that was not included in the perimeter is a complete dereliction of the duty of the U.S. Secret Service. I mean, there are very few rooftops that needed to be secured, and the fact that the Secret Service, as they were putting a site plan in place, did not think it was necessary to man those rooftops, you have completely walked away from your duties. You had one job, and that's to protect the future President of the United States or to protect all of the other protectees. And President Trump is only here today by God's grace because he had just something in him that made him turn
Legally,
his head
she could
just
just place the fifth.
or we would be in a national period of mourning right now. And
I don't know why she hasn't
you
done
have
that
done
yet.
Nothing here.
She's honestly
I've
kind of
written
dragged
these
on the
questions like
conversation.
4 times during your hearing, and you haven't answered a damn one.
All I'm saying is
You haven't
they
given
should have
any
let Ms.
information. You've
Boebert
hidden
continue
behind this
talking
FBI
because she was high-key a
investigation, and I think
MILF.
you should be ashamed of yourself because you have brought more shame to your agency than I think that the assassination attempt has at this point.
Damn.
This is literally the worst performance I have ever seen in front of a congressional hearing. You have offered no reason for this committee, this body, or the American people to trust you or the Secret Service today. And you should resign. You have said that you've put new security measures in
Yo,
place.
Steve,
after
we're
the
going into
assassination
Charizard
attempt. Can you tell us
Gigantamax.
what those are?
I've never seen a Charizard Gigantamax.
Because the American people want to know that you're taking real corrective measures. But today you've pointed to an investigation. Investigation or not, you still have a job to do with a zero-fail mission. But so far, there's
I'm
been
meeting the
absolutely
full
no
qualifications of
accountability.
ADHD content here.
Not one
The fact
person's
this
been
guy gets
suspended.
5 clues
Not
is
one
fucked.
person's been
And
put
I've
on a
never
desk.
seen my flage.
Meanwhile, we've got the most contentious of elections in our nation's history. And protectees are in danger.
Don't do that.
because of
Don't do me
incompetent
like that,
leadership.
son.
Not the agents. The agents piled on President Trump to protect his life.
Wow, what the fuck?
Those are heroes. But the administrators running your agency, they're not.
Let me draw a land here. Oh my gosh, if that was a
They're
land,
not
I'd be
doing
so
their
heated.
jobs. And you certainly aren't doing. The most appalling part of Saturday's events is the countless opportunities that Secret Service had to stop Crooks before he even got on the roof. At 3 o'clock, Crooks raised suspicion by entering the rally with a rangefinder. At 5:45, a cop with a Beaver County Emergency Services unit saw Crooks eyeballing the roof at the AGR.
Yes,
International.
discard your last card.
And then at 5:55, Secret Service was warned of a suspicious
Yes,
person
oh my gosh,
and
he had a third
identifies
demon
Crooks as
inferior.
a threat.
That
This was
jiggy
all
bastard.
before shots were fired 15 minutes later. Director, yes or no, did local law enforcement alert the Secret Service about Crooks' presence at the rally?
Holy shit, Charizard Gigantamax is like really, really tough.
The
I didn't
shooter
realize
came
that.
to attention of law enforcement almost an hour before President Trump went.
Gigamaxes have really
Law
gone up
enforcement
the
alerted
wazoo,
Secret
you know?
Service of the shooter. Over and over, you've said there's a difference between a suspicious individual and a threatening individual. Can you explain what the shooter needed to exemplify to be called a threat?
So I'm not clear as to what identified him as suspicious to the individuals who originally clarified him that way. For the Secret Service, for an individual to be determined to be a threat, that individual would have to be seen with a weapon or capable of doing some sort of harm to our protectees.
So if you're caught with a
Director,
weapon
an individual walking into a
or
rally with a range
at the
finder,
chances of
scoping
causing
out around
harm to
protected
people,
rooftop,
how does that
and
not
reportedly flew a
translate to be
drone
directly a
over hours
threat?
before.
That makes
It
no
sounds
sense
like
to
a
me.
lot more than suspicious, especially at a presidential rally. Your operational lapses, your resource management, and poor judgment nearly resulted
Charizard's
in
getting
the
desperate. Holy shit.
assassination of President Trump. I mean, the dereliction of duty here is just appalling. The fact that you haven't visited Butler is just maddening to me. That you're not taking this job seriously. Many people here have called for your resignation. I've introduced a resolution here into this body that hopefully will get
Oh my
a vote
gosh, that's
this
so
week,
huge.
calling on the president to fire you, ma'am. You have not done your job. You have put two black eyes on your agency, and you need to go.
That's so
Mr.
huge.
Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes Mr. Burleson from Missouri.
Holy shit, that's huge.
Director Cheadle, I just want to kind of get an idea of what you can answer, because outside of what the FBI is responsible for, you have full responsibility for the Department of Secret Service. So the question is, what is the mission? Who defines the mission?
Our mission of the Secret Service
mission is to let him cook, son.
protect, the president,
Let
the vice
him
president,
fucking cook.
Their immediate families, presidential candidates, the former presidents, and those by executive order. And we also have an
We're going to game
investigative
3,
mission.
baby. He doesn't have it.
And those are well
He's not
defined.
that guy. He's
Yes,
not that
Everyone
guy.
within the agency understands the mission.
Yes, they do.
What about protocols and standards? Who defines the protocols and standards?
We have a number of protocols and policies in place for the various.
She makes too much
missions
money to
that
have to
we
answer you. That's facts.
So would it be safe to say?
Yeah, like
that
if
you
she
failed
didn't have
the
a
mission,
raise,
the ultimate mission?
imagine if her job was
I
in
have stated
jeopardy and she wasn't getting
repeatedly
free
here today that there
raises.
was a
How
failure.
much more likely she would be to
What
answer
about
questions?
specific failures within protocols and guidelines within the agency?
Again, I am certain that the investigation that is being conducted internally as well as the external investigation.
You said earlier in the hearing that there was either a communication, there was errors in communication or in operations. Could it be both?
Yes.
In both errors in operational decisions and errors in communications?
I think the investigation.
Oh shit, Mega Charizard is
potentially
low.
could,
Mega Charizard is low, I
identify
repeat.
both.
So I want to talk about communications. Representative Boebert asked earlier about using encrypted
Oh
apps
shit, let's go.
that you said you've not used, I guess, Signal. Have you used any encrypted app?
Mega
to
Charizard has been
communicate
defeated, baby.
on-
Let's
from your
go.
personal device?
We're lit.
I do on occasion use encrypted apps to communicate.
So you use
Nice.
some form of an encrypted app to communicate with people
Yo, what's up,
within the
Mort?
federal government, with local law enforcement. Whom are you
What am I taking out
communicating
here?
using the encrypted apps?
Many times it's with colleagues and associates.
So you're communicating with colleagues on a personal device?
There are times that the Secret Service, when we work internationally with some of
just
our
like this
partners,
card a
that
lot.
they don't have the same texting capability.
And you're not able to do that with your government issued device?
Recently, we have been able to.
Yeah, we got to go 41. It's a
install some of
YCS
those
20
apps
number.
on government
As a Yu-Gi-Oh
devices.
player, I know what's happening.
Okay.
What's happened is that
let's talk about some of the things that we
the
can
director
get
of
access
the
to.
Secret
I'm
Service
actually
has
shocked
dodged
that you were
questions and
using
it's turned
your
into a
personal
roast of the
device,
Secret Service director. It's really cool.
encrypted
On my side, I
communications, 'cause I think
drafted
that
a
may
red
be the
black
most shocking
artifact
thing that
deck
I've heard
with multiple
today.
cranial
I
rams
didn't
and a
expect you
plage,
for you to
and
say
I'm
that.
having a lot of fun.
The-
Also, we just took down a
have
Mega
requested-
Charizard,
this
which is
committee has
goated.
requested multiple documents. And this is not, under the purview of the FBI. This is under your purview. We requested
like
a
that.
complete list of all law enforcement personnel, including Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, local law enforcement with the roles.
Wow,
of
this is
protecting
actually
the
going to be huge.
president.
I have to hold this because I
And
can
we requested
exile
that to
his
be
dumb
for us to
little
receive
flyer
that by
guys.
July 18th. Did you provide that?
I believe
No,
that our
why do you
agency is
have
in the
Psychic
process
Frog
of
on turn 2
collecting
every
all
time?
documents.
So you
That's
did
so
not
frustrating.
You have not provided it.
I
How
need to
long
call
does
a
it
judge
take
on
to
this guy.
determine who the personnel
He
were
hard opens
that were
Psychic
outside?
Frog every single game.
We are collecting a comprehensive list of all the documents that have been requested.
We also requested all the audio and video recordings that your agency, not the FBI, but your agency has in possession related to the event. Did we receive those? Have you provided those at all?
No.
We are in the process of collecting all documentation requested.
You're in the process, but you
The
have not.
process lasts 60 to 75 days. Remember
Any
this.
memorandums or any internal communications related to the event? We requested that you provide that. Have you provided?
Please
any
give
of
us a
that?
black. I don't want to have to
We are in the
use
process of
my dude,
collecting
my
the
Bogart.
information that has
Bogart
been
doesn't need it.
requested.
He doesn't deserve it.
Okay.
He doesn't want to
So-
go down like this. He's Bogart.
When can we expect to receive these
No,
documents?
stop. Don't do that shit.
How
That's
long
broken.
does it take to?
That's so broken. What the
to
fuck?
determine who was on site, who was being employed to be there to protect the former president? When can we expect that? How many days does it take to provide that information?
We want to make sure that we have a comprehensive accounting of all of the documents that were engaged in that day, and we will make them available as soon as possible.
I think transparency is the key here. It's shocking to me that we are communicating in a encrypted app to colleagues. I'm almost certain that violates some federal laws.
I would like to clarify You didn't ask me whether my communications were
Legal or
government
not.
work-related or whether they were personally related.
You're communicating
I
with
don't
colleagues.
communicate government business with colleagues on a personal device. I communicate on my work device.
Are you using an encrypted device on your work device?
I am not.
No encrypted apps.
No, I do not.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Waltz from Florida.
Bro, she's not about that crypto life. She doesn't know
Thank you,
about the
Mr.
Ethereum
Chairman.
gains.
Madam Director, please, I'd like to direct your attention to this video.
And I sincerely appreciate the clarity on this.
Can we turn up the volume, staff?
I just want to ask you, because this has popped up. Republican Congressman Mike Walz, he said on social media on Saturday, and I'm going to read this for you because it does talk about you, Secretary. I have very reliable sources telling me that there have been repeated requests for stronger Secret Service protection for President Trump denied by Secretary Mayorkas. Your department has already pushed back on that, calling that absolutely false, but he is putting this on you. Can you respond to that, please?
Well, that is, yeah, that's a baseless and irresponsible statement, and is one that is unequivocally false.
Director Cheadle, did you speak with your boss, Secretary Mayorkas? You fall under DHS. Did you speak with him on the 14th, the day after?
Yes, I did.
So you spoke with him before he made that statement?
I spoke with him immediately following the incident.
Did you inform him that all requests for additional resources for President Trump had been fulfilled?
What the fuck? He put in a null elemental blast against me? That's so toxic.
I informed him that the request for that rally that day had been fulfilled.
Okay, you continue to answer that very carefully, because I made a broader statement. The agents that came to me made a broader statement that his permanent protective detail for years now have been asking for more. Is that correct?
I do not have specific incidents of those requests.
Is it correct that they've been asking for more?
I have heard the same reports that you have. Without having them in front of me, I am unable.
Those requests are made in writing. I mean, the agents are telling me they make them in writing. This isn't a verbal agency. Things are made in writing.
I understand what you're saying. I don't have those requests in front of me here.
I'm not asking if you have them in front of you. Are you aware that they were made?
As I said earlier, there are times when requests are made, and depending on the availability of assets, or if there is a way that
So there were times when they were denied.
if there is a way that vulnerability can be mitigated in a different way, then that is why the
So there are times when they were denied for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
That is why the Secret Service has a multi-layered and multifaceted security plan so that we can
Bro,
pivot
can I draw my
if-
flage
So
one time?
in the
Like, it
wake-
feels like
I
this
mean,
card isn't even in my
immediate
deck.
48 hours of an assassination attempt on a former president, could be the next leader of the free world, almost had his head blown off. Your boss says that's irresponsible and false to say things are denied.
Fuck this
And
card.
you
This
had
card's
talked to him.
broken.
So did he just make that on his own, make that up on his own, or did you tell him that?
We were speaking about the requests made at the rally.
Staff, can we show the next slide, please? Then we have your spokesman. Did you sign off on this statement? That there's an assertion that a member of the former president's team requested additional security resources and those were rebuffed. This is absolutely false. In fact, we added protective resources and technology and capability as part of the increased campaign travel tempo. But next slide, please. Next slide, please, staff. We have the Washington Post article that then says we now have senior Secret Service officials saying there were at times when it was denied. So which is it?
Again, there have been a number of conversations going on here.
Did you sign off on that spokesman's statement?
The spokesman's statement, I believe, was related to requests that were made
Did
for
you
the
sign
rally.
off on it?
For the requests that were made at the rally.
Did
yes.
you sign off on the statement before it went out? I sign off on my press spokesman's statement before they go out. I would hope you would in the wake of an assassination attempt.
Yes.
You did. Categorically false that any requests were made. You signed off on it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarity.
Yes, he doesn't have an
How
Aether
many
spike.
press
That's so lit.
conferences have you held since the assassination attempt?
We have put out press releases.
How many press conferences have you held, gone to the mic, taken questions from the public, from the media?
That is so lit.
How many?
I have not held any.
How many has Secretary Mayorkas held?
I don't.
0. How many has the FBI held?
0.
0. How many has the Department of Justice held?
0.
I know you know the answer.
0.
I believe there was a press conference in Butler after the incident occurred.
By local law enforcement, not by you and not by the Department of Homeland Security. So this is how misinformation flies. I mean, in the darkness, in the absence of information. Now we have 9 days later before a congressional committee, we all represent almost 1 million people, and you still don't have answers. Are you aware that national news anchors are saying this was a hoax? On national television, they're saying, no,
0.
the president wasn't shot, it was flying glass. Are you aware of that?
0%.
Shooter had overseas encrypted platforms in Belgium and New Zealand and in Germany that a lot of people are speculating there could have been foreign involvement, logically. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And have you done anything to disabuse any of these notions today? No. You haven't. Madam Director,
This
I
guy
would
is
fire
too
you.
Tameo, the story
Regardless
circle?
of
What the
failure,
fuck?
I would fire you just how you've handled it since. You should have been the first to the mics to say, America, world, I want to assure you we're going to get to the bottom of this. I want to assure you full transparency. Our agency clearly had major
That's so hot.
gaps here, and I want to personally take responsibility and accountability. You should have been the first, standing alongside Secretary Mayorkas, and I would even go so far as to say have daily press conferences, updating everyone on what we know. But you haven't had any of that. What are you hiding behind?
I am not hiding.
Because you're making the situation worse. I think you've heard that on a bipartisan basis here. You are making this situation far worse.
Doesn't have sneaky
in the
snacker, that's
absence
goated.
Of information. Let's move on. This is truly astounding. I want to be clear because you keep dodging the issue. Has President Trump's permanent protective detail requested additional assets over the last few years? He is clearly not your average former president. He's not Jimmy Carter in an old folks home. He's not President Bush painting out in his barn. He has multiple residences, a lot of rallies. He's very publicly engaged, and he has a foreign threat in addition to domestic threats. Have they requested additional resources?
0.
That's the last question, but please feel free to answer,
Thank you.
Director.
We have continued, as I stated earlier, to increase over the past year.
Feel free to answer,
the
Director. We know you
assets
love
that are
answering
at the
questions.
former
Fuck
president's
this guy.
residence
Dude, why do you have another
and,
depth diviler?
supplied to his detail.
Why do you have another depth
Mr.
diviler,
Chairman, if I
sir?
could
That's
just ask
fucked.
for one more indulgence. It is clear you have not been to Butler, Pennsylvania. Leaders lead and should be on the ground. You have not been there. Instead, you went to the RNC. But you weren't originally even going to go there. Where were you originally scheduled to go besides the RNC, a national special security event?
I was always scheduled to go to the
Mr.
RNC.
Chairman,
draw
I'd
my
like
flags,
to enter into
please?
the record that the director was scheduled to go to Aspen, hobnobbing around with I don't know
Hobnobbing. So
what
many
liberal
fucking
elites go to
hobnobbers,
Aspen.
man.
That was where you were originally scheduled to go to speak at a forum.
I was scheduled to go to the RNC. I was going to leave the RNC for 24 hours and return back to the RNC.
I hope, as your predecessor, Julie Pearson, with a security incident on the White House and under the Obama administration and Reagan's Secret Service detail lead, I will hope you would have the dignity for the sake of the agents in the service to resign.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Thank you.
I'd like to enter a few things into the record. First of all, the remaining articles that Mr. Biggs was wanting to enter into the record without objection, so ordered. Next, I have a written statement from Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania. His district includes Butler, and he has a written statement that we'd like to enter into the record without objection, so ordered. A bipartisan 114th congressional report titled United States Secret Service and Agency in Crisis. This was prepared by former Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz and former Ranking Member Elijah Cummins. And lastly, the issue subpoenaed compelling Director Cheadle's appearance at today's hearing without objection, so ordered. That concludes our question segment. I want to thank the director for your testimony today. I now yield to the ranking member for closing remarks.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And Director Cheeto, I also want to thank you for your patience over the course of what must have been a very long and trying hearing for you. It has been an unusually encouraging hearing and an unusually depressing hearing. And what's encouraging, Mr. Chairman, is that we came together to issue a strong statement deploring and categorically denouncing political violence in America. And I also didn't see any daylight between
wow, this guy just top decks that again. That's pussy shit. Oh my gosh.
Outrage about the shocking operational failures that led to disaster and near catastrophe on July 13th, 2024. What is depressing is the extraordinary communications gap between the director of the Secret Service and Congress.
Dude, the guy's deck was so ass. I did not want to lose to that guy.
Director's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
That guy was rambling on so long, I thought I was playing against the director.
Chairman in calling for the resignation of the director, just because I think that this relationship is irretrievable at this point, and I think that the director has lost the confidence of Congress at a very urgent and tender moment in the history of the country, and we need to very quickly move beyond this. But what I will say, Mr. Chairman, is that
what do I think of Biden's decision to drop out? I think it was really bad.
Major policy failures, and one policy failure is the one that got the vast majority of the attention.
Because regardless of whether he wanted to do that or not, it's just really bad for our country because now other countries see that the current president is currently not active, which gives them an opportunity to make military decisions against our nation. So regardless of like what you think of him, it's way better that he just stayed and did that like when he was about to actually like leave, whenever like the presidency was going to be decided now. Regardless of whether he wanted to leave personally, he should have waited until the very end. That kind of just negatively affects our nation because there's a lot of decisions being made, like in Russia, in Israel, like with NATO signing Ukraine, and that's negatively going to affect our country overall, which is really bad.
It's true. The president, the former president, and a handful of people who get the Secret Service protection are the only people in America we thought were safe from an AR-15 attack. It's clear that they're not safe either.
Honestly, he shouldn't even have revealed that he had COVID, because that just gives other nations a reason to attack us, which is really bad.
That the whole country is living like this in fear and in terror of assault weapon attacks in movie theaters, churches, synagogues, mosques, supermarkets, Walmarts, any place where an audience or a public gathers. And the worst was in Las Vegas, where a gunman got up on a roof and then just mowed down 60 people below him and wounded hundreds and hundreds of other people. So we've got to deal with that problem. Yes, we've got to move as swiftly as we can to deal with the problems of the Secret Service, but the broader problem is still there. And I just wish to the heavens that our colleagues that could get together on the question of presidential security against an AR-15 attack could get together on the question of public security against an AR-15 attack, because all of us are vulnerable. All of our families are in danger by this, and the rest of the world doesn't live this way.
Getting answers from the director is like me getting a flage out of my deck. Bro, we literally played 3 games where I went down to the last 10 cards in my deck, and each time the flage was in the last 10 cards. One time specifically, it was in the bottom 4 cards of the deck.
We can work together on that with the same spirit of bipartisan commitment to the public safety that was exemplified here today.
Oh shit, I actually have a playable hand? I didn't know I was allowed to do this.
Yields back. I'll deliver my closing remarks. Director Cheadle, I subpoenaed you to appear today to get answers for the American people about the failures that led to the assassination attempt of President Donald J.
Unfortunately, that did not happen.
Unfortunately, you refused to answer today.
I literally called it.
Ed, this committee is not known for its model of bipartisanship, but I think today
We all united to attack you.
Unanimously in our disappointment for your lack of answers. You've stated that the FBI will investigate and give a report.
Oh shit, the Flage is online?
60 days. We've been waiting for months and months for lots of different bits of information from the FBI. We have no confidence in the FBI. The majority of this committee has no confidence.
That is facts.
In the FBI.
I also don't have confidence in the FBI.
I sincerely hoped that the hearing today would give not just Congress confidence in the Secret Service, but the American people would have confidence in the Secret Service. We don't have confidence, not just in Congress, but I don't believe the American people tonight when they go to bed are going to have confidence that the Secret Service is the best it can be at protecting President Biden, at protecting the First Lady, at protecting President Trump, at protecting their families. That's what the primary role for the Secret Service should be. And some people have said and speculated, well, there needs to be more money and more employees. As I stated early on, $3.1 billion. I believe next year it's going to be
That's a lot of money.
$3.2 billion.
$3.2 billion
budget, over
to the budget.
8,000 employees. If the Secret Service is spread too thin in doing things like inspecting counterfeit, which is what the Secret Service was created to do, was to inspect counterfeit money and things like that with the Treasury. If it's spread too thin, then we need to come together in Congress, and I think we can do that in a bipartisan way to narrow the focus of the Secret Service, to protect the leaders of our country, to protect our elections by protecting our candidates. And I don't believe we have any confidence that you can do that as the leader of the FBI. I sincerely hope that we would adjourn this committee hearing and have confidence not just in the Secret Service, but in you as director of the Secret Service. But we do not. Taking responsibility requires a lot of things. It means
I just have an insta-kill spell on this guy. That's awesome. And he has to see it.
It means answering simple questions. It means providing a specific timeline of July 13th to this committee and the American people. I mean, it's been 9 days. There were people that were demanding that we have a hearing the next day or 2 days following the shooting. And I said, no, we need to give the Secret Service ample time to be able to answer those questions. 9 days. 9 days. And I don't think we answered very many questions that the American people have. I don't think there was I've never said this before, and I've presided over a lot of hearings. I don't think there was one question asked by anyone that the average American hasn't already asked at a diner or at church or at a ball game. The American people have questions. They deserve answers. Congress deserves answers. You were subpoenaed today to provide answers, and ma'am, you did not.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I'm mostly talking to the point of what the other countries think about us. Like, there's a lot of decisions being made about Ukraine joining NATO, and they're going to try to press these decisions as fast as possible because they know our president has COVID, and he's currently not active. He's currently in a vacation home. That is like the bigger issue.
Many of us have, especially on this side of the aisle, is that there's never accountability in this administration. And when you look at the debacles prior to July 13th, I mean, it would be hard to beat the withdrawal in Afghanistan, the debacle there, and no one was held accountable. To this day, no one has been held accountable for that.
That is true.
But here we have clearly video showing people notifying the police, and the police are blaming the Secret Service. The Secret Service are blaming the police. Homeland Security is blaming everybody. But at the end of the day, after this hearing and after our request for information, we don't have any answers for the American people, and we don't have that confidence that you can lead the Secret Service to restore the confidence. And again, I commend the ranking member for joining with me in the letter asking your resignation, and we certainly hope that you will take that to heart. With that and without objection, all members have 5 legislative days within which to submit materials and additional written questions for the witness.
And 45 to 60 days, we'll get back to this.
If there's no further business, without objection, the committee stands adjourned.
So this guy's also playing black. I don't have any evidence that he's using artifacts. I don't drink, but if I was, I'd go pour down a few beers if I was the director. That's facts. The director deserves a round on the house from every member. That's all I'm saying. I'm surprised the director didn't start crying. Alright, opponent is mulling, and I have a refurbished familiar on turn 3. That's nice. I feel really good about this. And new drinking game. Take a shot every time information is pending. That would be such a good idea. That is a great drinking game. Alright, I'm gonna top tick a 2-cost artifact here, because I'm just jitted like that. Oh shit, he has a birthing pod? What the fuck? Why can't I have a birthing pod? That's a fun card. Is this guy gonna sack his... Oh, he's not sacking. Okay. Well, you're kind of just wasting your birthing pod then. I keep calling this birthing pod. Anybody who remembers OG birthing pod is a real OG. That was such a fun card. I can't believe people didn't like New Phyrexia, because that's one of my favorite sets of all time. To be fair, I started playing the game during that time, so... Yeah, I see what you're saying. And that's also like a bad time as well for people to attack us. But there wasn't major like decisions being made in the war. So that time was probably relatively lower risk, but also just like a bad thing to have. What archetypes or classes will I be playing in Perils in Paradise? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't really know what all the archetypes are. It seems like Warrior is going to be broken, so I'll probably play some Warrior. I usually really like Warlock, but the fact that they graped Warlock so hard makes me think that it's not going to be playable. I kind of feel bad for this guy because he played a birthing ritual and has yet to actually resolve the effect. And now I'm just removing his one creature. Alright, do you have the instant that gives it hexproof? Oh, you don't? Okay, sorry about you, buddy. Sorry about you, bitch.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
If Druid is cool, I'll play Druid. I hope Druid is good. Druid hasn't been good for like so long. But considering they did a pre-nerf to Druid, I feel like what's going to be the viable thing to do in Druid is probably some aggro thing. You know what's such a miss is that they didn't give Warrior access to Priest cards. That would be like, they gave... That's what I don't like about the tourism mechanic, other than it being a pay-to-win thing, where it's like... You have to have a legendary to unlock this mechanic that's probably going to be required to be competitive in the meta. The other aspect of it is that, like, it seems such a miss that they didn't give the classes that naturally would benefit each other, the class that would benefit them. Once again, this guy doesn't birthing ritual. Okay. You know what's cool is every time we played Amtraptor, we've literally just hit Unstable Amulet every single time off of it. Oh, now we get a Cranial Ram. That's fucking insane. Holy shit. That's actually just better than Amulet. Wow. Amtraptor is disgusting when you hit a 2-drop. That was cool. And I get to ping for a damage? Fuck yeah, that's goated. Wait, why is this deck just high key insane? Opponent is losing 3 life? Consensually? Cool. Yeah, I think what's gonna happen is Warrior's gonna be like kind of busted. They've kind of set it up to where it's like, okay, you can either play aggro or you can play Warrior. Or at least that's how it's felt like. Warlock will probably be good, but it's probably just going to be the same deck that's been good for like a year. And I just don't want to keep doing the same thing over again because it's very repetitive. Hopefully this like opens new options to build new decks, but I highly doubt that's actually going to happen. I'm actually kind of hyped that you told me that it's coming out tomorrow because I'll probably have a little bit of time to play it before I start this new job. All right, open the 1 pack for good luck. Am I just not drawing my Flage because I have a 41 card deck? I want to take this card out, but this card's actually just been really crucial because it's just been like an artifact. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 energy cards. Like, it's just been a good thing to do with excess energy. And I do want to put this Dross Claw in, but I can't say that there is a card I would take out for Dross Claw. Like, maybe Glimpse the Impossible, but this card also has synergy with our graveyard stuff. We have 2 Pyretic Rebirth. We have a Flage. We also have a Retrofitted Transmograte. Like, specifically just going by synergies, this is probably the least synergistic card in our deck, but ultimately, every time I've had this, it's allowed us to end the game, so I don't really want to do that. Fuck it, we go 41. Fuck it, we go 41 because I said so. 41 is the magic number. If you know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh, then you know that 41 is a YCS winning number. The GOAT, Raphael Levy, said that. Alright, play first, draw all my sources. Okay, I have access to a black and a red, that's pretty decent. And I have an artifact. Artifact control. So does that not count or what? To be honest, Steve, for some reason, like, Streamlabs, I just can't see the Rumble chat, and because I had a tab open, I wasn't allowed to, like, basically look at it, so I'm just seeing your messages. I don't really understand the context of what you said, but I will acknowledge it. Oh, hey, that's a turn 2 artifact. That's pretty nice. That's probably just better. I probably just hold off on tapping this. The guy I'm playing in Smash is going PT, so I'm gonna have to bust out my PT secondary. What does that mean? What character are you playing in Smash? Oh, piece of candy. We got our 3rd land. We're so late here. Back when I used to play Smash, I used to play as Cloud. Cloud was the only person I was like decent at, And that's not because I was very good. It was because Cloud is kind of like a basic-ass character. He also just has one of the fastest quick attacks in the game. I'm pretty sure. I could be completely wrong about that, but I think so. Hey, that's hella nice. Yes, I'm getting an energy. We like energy on this channel. Oh, yes, you're killing that? Thank you. My Pyretic Rebirth is just worth so much value because now I literally just have Affinity 3. Don't mind me. I just have Affinity 3, sir. If I top deck a land, you're actually cooked. No, no, don't do that to me. I need to draw an out to that, please. I don't want to lose to this crap. Oh my gosh, I'm the GOAT! I'm the GOAT!
I fucking knew it! Oh!
I'm literally the GOAT. I'm gonna make him sack a token because I'm jitted like that. 41 is the magic number, baby. He's taking it. Take it like a man. He doesn't want to lose any of his guys. Okay, I'm going to remove your guy. Yes, Sirski, brother. I need a Rising Chrysalis. We have to share the love, brother. Now, let me draw a colorless so I can experience the joys of having a Writhing Chrysalis too. We have to spread the Writhing Chrysalis energy. Also, let me draw a land here. And don't have another Writhing Chrysalis. That would not be fair, sir. We have to do what's fun and fair for the community. And that means allowing me to cast your Writhing Chrysalis so we can share the fun. Writhing Chrysalis is very often not fun nor fair, so we need to make it both fun and fair by sharing the Chris. No, I needed to land so fucking bad. I could actually blow this guy's back out. Well, fuck it. I'll do this next turn then. Fuck up asking Brute Scale, I'm just trying to beat the case. But I ain't beat the case, so I'm gonna have to use Infinity to win the race. Affinity for artifacts to win the race, baby. What's cool is if I play this Writhing Chrysalis, I actually get to ping him for a damage. Part of me just wants to say fuck the energy and tap this, but the fact I could just get another golem is just so broken. Okay. I mean, I relatively need to draw a land here. Oh, hey, it's the right land. That's nice. All right, go ahead and discard a card for me, Poppy. Poppy, I need you to discard a card. Oh, wait, if I would have played this, I could have just slammed his Chrysalis. I'm so bad. Good thing I haven't fetched this yet. I can make a Chrysalis, and that's kind of cool. Oh my gosh, that's so fucked. That's so fucked. He's not attacking. He's a coward. He's a coward, I tell you. Sir, I need to gain some energy here. I can't allow you to keep doing this. My energy rations are low, sir. I'm gonna have to fuck on you with the 41 card deck. Draw a real card here. You don't need a land. You don't need a fetch. You never draw a fetch here. Okay, cool. Wow. Do I want to just... I think I just have to do this. This is probably just better. Probably just more efficient, right? I'm coming for that booty. I'm coming for that booty, son. Is this just an easy 3-0? Easy 3-0 for the Giga Chad Mr. Beats Bash 1000 bands. Cloud is good, bro. His dash attack is really strong. You're a Ness main? Dude, I used to play Lucas. Lucas is literally so degen. My pet rock, what do you mean? Yeah, I got pretty good with Cloud, and then my brother, he got really good at Sora, and then I just stopped playing him because he was just too good. Because he has kids, and so he's, like, played the game because of his kids, and, like, got really broken at it, so I just don't play him. Wait, so you play, Pokemon Trainer? Pokemon Trainer is pretty good. That's a pretty fair character. I remember whenever, before they made that hotfix, like, unless you were insanely good, you could just spam someone with the PK Fire, and it was, like, relatively impossible for them to get out of it, depending on what character they were playing. That was one of the most toxic things, and I remember abusing that against my friends until they didn't want to play me anymore, and we just didn't play. Okay, I have all three sources, and I have a turn 2 Ram. Ram Ranch, baby. I'm taking this guy to the Wham Ranch. Okay, I just want you guys to understand. I think this is our 8th game. This is either our 7th or 8th game, and we have still never saw Flage a single time. Oh my gosh, we actually get Flage. No way. I literally called it. I actually get to do the thing one time. That's cool. I still don't think that makes me want to get a white any more than I want to. I think I just don't. I think the black is just too important in this deck. He's paying? That's weird. Alright, well, I'm going to play a Cranial Ram. Don't worry. I'm just taking you to Ram Ranch, son. Ram Ranch. 5 filthy Cranial Rams doing their damn thing. Oh, I'm fucking flaging that all day, son. That is getting flaged the fuck out of here. Okay, that's bonkers. Don't do that. Okay, it's not a fetch. It's not a fetch. It's fair. I repeat, he does not have a fetch. This is fun and fair. Okay. I'm gonna have to do it to him, boys. I'm gonna do it to him. Hey, did the beat go off? Yes, sir, ski brother. I am the white player now, buddy. How do you feel about my white cards? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Yes, it's a creature. Oh my gosh, that's so huge. That's literally so huge. You don't have it. You're not that guy. You're not that guy, son. You don't have it. You're not that guy. You're not that guy. Stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. No. No. No, Papi. No, you don't have it. Stop. Yes, sir, Ski. Let's go, boys. Yes, sir. Good news, everyone. I have a flage.
I see. Good news, everyone.
Wait, what the fuck? Why is my flage gone?
I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
That was the most broken Thraben charm I've ever seen. He literally just deleted multiple resources out of my graveyard because of my Pyretic Rebirth. He deleted 2 resources. I mean, that's still pretty fucked. Oh, I don't have a red, so I can't do anything. That's so sad. Oh my gosh. I need to draw a land back to back. And he has a Writhing Chrysalis? Dude, why do you have this? Why are you playing a 4-color deck? I'm going into a 4-color deck who just drew Natural Tron. Alright, I need to fuck this guy up here, please. What's happening? Is he responding to my land search, or what's happening? Am I frozen? Hello? Oh my gosh, that was so scary. Sometimes if you click too fast, it'll give you the land that you clicked on, and you can't even see it on the screen. That was so scary. I might be cooked. This is just a lot of damage. Okay, that was weird. It was very weird. That's not a land. That really sucks. That sucks really bad. I'm going to take 7. I'm going to go to 3. Next turn, I can discard, though, to find a land. Assuming he doesn't develop anything else on the board, I'm not dead. Because I can ping his guy, and then I can chump. It's assuming he has no other resources. Wait, what if I just do this? Discard this. Play this. Kill that. Then play this and jump on the ground. Yes, I've done this so many times. This is so insane. I'm actually just cracked. I'm cracked. All right, you don't have a removal here. You never have a removal. This doesn't happen here. You don't have it. You're not that guy. I get a token next turn. I'm bolstering. No, don't do that. Poppy, no. Wow, this is a wire-thin game. My wire is so thin right now. That was not good. That was not good at all. I play a tight game like the director does. Okay, I have an opportunity to potentially trade here if he doesn't have an answer. No, don't do that, bro. You can't be doing me like that. Bro, do not do this. No, okay, what the fuck? Don't do that, sir. That's too many resources. You're using a 4-color deck. This shouldn't be allowed. Sir, please don't do this to me. I don't deserve to go out like this. Okay, this is currently not game. This is currently not game. The margin for error here is so thin. The fact he exiled my Flage is so hateful. The one time we drew it, it gets exiled. No, stop. Poppy, no. Not attacking, okay. I think I don't really care about being able to play his Noid Altasar. I think I'm just more worried about actually getting it. Like, getting a non-land here is just so huge. It's the difference between dying and not dying. You're fucking kidding me. That's so sad. Wow. You trade your Altasar, your Glyph lives, your Slith lives. Bro, just attack with everything. This is just always correct. He's just passing? And as soon as I get rid of my card, wow. I got rid of my colorless lands. Well, no, it didn't matter because that's a double pipped card. So it wouldn't actually change the game state. I can actually just exile this. In some regards, that's actually better. I want him to commit to an attack here. That's actually huge. If I attack with both, wait, I think I actually just missed lethal. Yeah, I think I just missed lethal. Is that game? You don't have it. You're not that guy. He's not that guy. Let's go. Not done yet, baby. Underestimated 3.0. Let's go. Dab on him, baby. I'm bringing back the dab for the one time. That was too dirty. Why isn't the trampler able to trample for game soon? Well, the way that I was prohibiting it, my guy had just enough health where he could only push through 2 damage at the lowest part for me. And so because of that, he didn't have a combat trick which could have pushed through more because my health was high enough. Because I could double block, which gave me an additional health. GG's, baby. Too easy. Take a little quick review of the deck. Alright, so this deck was honestly mid. It was okay. Like, it looks like it was good, but we just didn't draw the good cards half the time. I was really just ramming people into uncontested fields with Refurbisher. And I think this card was just MVP. This card was absolutely bonkers, and I would take this card more highly. Like, some people may be like, this isn't a reason to be red-black. And I've actually heard a lot of people be like, red-black is ass. I had the Rams, and it still didn't work for me. It's like, dude, the deck is not about Rams. Ram is a good card, but it's not like you having 4 Rams win you the game. It's really this card. This card is absurd. And being able to just recur. Like, black in itself has a huge engine of recursion, and it's more of a grind deck than it is an aggro deck. Like, that's where it's more about. Does your deck allow you to consistently recur resources? Then it's probably a good deck. If it does not allow you to do that, then that's probably not a good deck. And that's why this performed. It wasn't because of our Rams. Like, Ram was beneficial, but most of the time, the Ram just ended up dying, or people would just eat it. The unstable amulets were actually huge, though, because the additional burn damage and the additional card, even if we only ever got to, like, tap it one time, it was just huge. Also, we literally never saw this card, which is funny. And this card's also really good in the recursion engine. It's been ages since you played Arena. I mean, I don't necessarily recommend it to new people because it's very overwhelming. But for me, whenever I was first going to college, the game just came out. So I've been drafting from the beginning. So I have like 85% of all cards in game. And I really haven't spent that much money. It's just because I played a lot. And when you don't play constructed and you just mainly draft, you basically just rack up resources, like more than you need, right? But yeah, this was a really good deck, and I think this was a good example of like what you want a red-black deck to be. Obviously, like you want to have around like 10 artifacts to make the artifact synergies work, but you don't just need Ram. You need multiple ways to benefit you for doing artifacts. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we also had this, which also is like relative to artifacts, but it was more of the fact that we had an overwhelming amount of just recursion. Ripperonis to Flage, who never really saw play. Except for also, fuck the person who Thraben charmed our Flage. That was some BS, man. No respect. No respect for the flage, baby. Too easy. Open the Outlaws of Thunder Buttfuckery pack first. Ooh, Indomitable Creativity. That's kind of nice. I think I already have this, but that's kind of cool. Kind of a cool artwork. Honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of the artwork in this set, but this is cool. Like, I don't really like the border of it, but the art itself is nice. What does this guy do? This is a commander card. Oh, I hate cards like this. Cards that let you play spells from your opponent's deck are just so tilting. Hey, it's that red card that no one has ever put in a deck because it's so bad. Isn't this just a worse version of that person who came out in Phyrexia All Will Be One? I forgot what that guy's called, but he's also an elemental. And he's basically like an infinite combo engine. Whenever you cast a spell, you float a red mana, I think. And that's just a better version than this, I believe. Yeah, it's like, the thing about this card is, it's like, okay, you think you're, like, this is like a good payoff because it's like, oh, I'm getting rewarded for copying spells, but I don't even think that's good in Commander. Realistically, if you are able to copy a spell for the 3rd time in a turn, you're probably already winning that game. Like, that's already just a good sign you're winning. You played a fair bit of drafts, but just lost interest in card games in general. That's fair. You're either, like, into the card games or not. Hearthstone's Western theme set was so much better. This Western theme set, I call it Outlaws of Thunder Buttfuckery because it was just extremely gay. Like, it just, some people would be like, the cards are powerful. It's like, but the theme was just so bad. It's just like, they just took a bunch of old people who were like OGs of like the era, and then they just gave them bad art. Or they just made people, like, they just redid cards and just made them really flamboyant. Which, like, I don't have a problem with, but it's just a lame theme to a set. Like, they act like that made it cool. That didn't make it cool. It was just like, oh, you did this thing. Okay. I didn't really make me want to play any more than I already didn't want to play. Dude, the rats. We need to bring back the Wilds of Eldraine draft. Why did they remove that? It was actually available recently, and I wanted to play some more, but they took it out. Is it just a cube right now? See, I always see this picture and I'm like, I can play Wilds of Eldraine? They're like, no, you can't. Sorry. What is the weekly announcements? Bloomburrows starts next Tuesday. What's crazy is, like, I apply for the streamer event and I'm just, like, consistently uploading and I just never, like, get in. I'm like, okay. The streamer event is honestly just unfair. Like, I'm be honest, it's just unfair because it just makes it to where, like, most people who are streamers are competitive. They're just going in, like, imagine there's a person who's a streamer that goes to your local game store and he shows up to the pre-release and the dude just played for 13 hours, 2 days in a row, and then he's joining the pre-release. That is so unfair. Like, I just wouldn't want to play against that person. Like, being able to play for that long is just such an unfair advantage to those people. And they're high-key just hard farming people. Like, the first day, they're like, oh, this is the best deck. I'm going to force it. Everyone's giving me these cards. Wow. I think I'm going to win. And then they just win. Alright, I'll be right back. All right, well, I just realized that the Olympics for the basketball is on right now, and the USA is playing Germany, and I kind of want to watch that. Plus, I just have some work to do for my other channel. So I think it's better we end it here because I probably just wouldn't have enough time to do another draft, but probably going to do a Hearthstone stream at some point. I just got to get caught up on work. But we had a good run. We went 2 wins, then I think we went 3 wins. So that's pretty nice. Still like ending the format in like the 74% win rating, which is really, really good for me personally. But hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, don't ask the Secret Service Director any questions that you want to get an answer for. As always, if it's not the goo, it's got to go. Peace.